The semi-finals are set in the Cricket World Cup. India, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand remain. And unless India lose to the Netherlands right now, they haven't lost a game all tournament. Glenn Maxwell, was it the greatest ODI knock of all time? Concrete in his hamstrings, couldn't use his feet and just whipping the poor Afghans all over the park. One of the most miraculous things I've ever seen on a cricket pitch. Few Dutch wins, England stinking, Sri Lankan corruption issues, batters getting timed out. The Cricket World Cup has not disappointed. We will wrap up the group stage and look forward to the semis. Rugby League, the Kiwis win the Pacific Championship. I'm still not exactly sure what the Pacific Championship is, but I do know that the Kangaroos have suffered their worst loss ever. That's in 115-year history. 30-0 over there last weekend at the hands of the Kiwis. And the boys, I'm sure, would all be raring to put the feet up after a very long rugby league season. NFL's about halfway through. We go into week 10. A lot has happened since our last pod, including big injuries to Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones. The Eagles are top of the NFC at 8-1. The Pats under Bill Belichick looking ordinary. And the Bengals have steadied the ship after their ordinary start. We will wrap up the middle of the year, talk about surprises, disappointments, and the like. NBA in-season tournament. Again, what it is exactly, not exactly sure, but some brightly painted courts, hard viewing, and the Grizzlies really stinking it without Ja Morant. Bit of soccer. Ange and the Spurs had been flying up until this week, suffering back-to-back losses and a few injuries there, plus a big final round. Alex Poatan Pereira is the new light heavyweight champ, and the F1 goes to Las Vegas for the first time next week. The man on my left is Sean, the man that's normally on my right is Monks. He's still on daddy daycare duties. He will be joining us towards the end of the year or in the new year. But we like to start off this show by shouting a beer. Sean, how have you been? It's been about a month. And who are you shouting a beer to this week?
Oh, very good. And I'm going to shout Will Smith a beer. Now, not Will Smith.
Will Smith of slapping faces fame?
Yeah, not of hitting Chris Rock fame, no. Will Smith of World Series fame, because he won the World Series with the Houston Rangers a couple of weeks ago. But it's his third consecutive World Series in a row. And, well, that's consecutive.
Third consecutive in a row?
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
But with his third team. So,
nice. Yep.
First to do that. He also did that with the Braves and the Astros as well. So, a bit of a lucky charm there, get him on your squad and win a World Series. And the interesting stat that also came out from that is out of all the teams that are from Texas, the Houston Texans now remain the only team to never win a championship.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Spurs, Mavs, whatever the hockey teams are, they must have had one.
College teams as well. They're all covered. They've all won one, just not the Houston Texans.
There you go. I will shout a beer to Meg Lanning. She is hanging up the gloves after an illustrious career. Will go down as one of Australia's most celebrated cricketers. She is only 31, but achieved a lot in that time. 240 odd matches, over 8,000 runs, 17 tons, 7 World Cups. That is right, 7 World Cups across a couple of white ball formats there. She's announced her retirement. It looks like Elisa Healy might be primed to take over the captaincy moving forward. But Meg, definitely deserving of a beer. Enjoy your beer, courtesy of the Esky, and enjoy your retirement.
Yes, definitely.
Mop, we got to talk about a little bit of rugby, and congrats to the South Africans for winning their second consecutive Rugby World Cup. Bit of a lackluster game, I thought, in terms of entertainment, but it was very close. 12-11 against the All Blacks, and an interesting red card deciding that one. Yeah. But our mop goes to Eddie Jones.
Yes.
Eddie Jones, who was getting the media to stop hounding him and just put his trust in his plan for the Wallabies and for the ARU and the long-term plan moving forward, yada, yada, yada. Second year of a 4 or 5 year contract.
Yeah.
The World Cup happened.
Did he make 2 years?
We lost, no, it was about 18 months.
Yeah.
We lost to Fiji. It was just over. Beautiful people. Very happy about beating the Wallabies in the World Cup. Didn't get out of the group stage. First time ever. Yep. And what does Eddie do? He pisses off to Japan.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure if he officially taken that Japan job. That was the rumour.
I think the writing is on the wall.
Yeah, that he was going to go back to coaching Japan after what I think went Japan, England to Australia, now back to Japan for his racing career. After, of course, coaching Australia to a World Cup victory, didn't he? In 99 or 98, whatever that was.
My rugby's not that good.
Yeah. the last time Australia was good at rugby. But yeah, so he has quit, as we said, before, I guess, completing the job. It was interesting, some of his comments talking about what his vision was, his plan was, and there wasn't really support for that with Rugby Australia, and they wouldn't be able to see what he wanted to do or deliver. So he, was like, oh, fuck it, I'm out. I think, probably a lot's changed since the last time we coached Australia in rugby, and there was a lot more scrutiny and social media around it, which you can clearly see that he probably wasn't prepared for or had the capability to handle. So whether that played into it a little bit as well, that he couldn't just focus on the rugby and focus on what he wanted to do, it'd be interesting. I did think it was interesting. He kind of pointed that, he basically said Rugby Australia has no future. There's no future in the game they don't have the resources to be able to sustain, be competitive for what his vision is of making that team competitive. So he was just fucked off. But I guess as casuals that kind of follow rugby and see where rugby is in this country and how it's going, maybe he's not too far off the mark on that point.
Well, yeah, I don't think he spoke that far out of line, but given the press conference and getting stuck into the media that were asking legitimate questions like, why are you leaving out the likes of Michael Hooper? Even if he does have to miss the first one or two games,
going very young, leading into World Cup.
And he was talking about trust the process, the long term plan.
Yeah, we might struggle this World Cup,
which is what happened,
experience, and then we'll come. 4 years later down the track, we'll be ready for it.
Mate, we speak a lot about it on this podcast. We are leagueies. We don't know a whole lot about rugby, so take what we say with a grain of salt. But from the outside looking in, it looks like an absolute hot mess, and this is just the nail in the ARU's coffin. Hope that they can turn it around. I believe the next Rugby World Cup's in Australia, so have got 4 years to turn things around. That will help, surely. A bit more public interest, perhaps.
Hopefully,
hopefully.
But I've from the rugby fans we talk to, the hardcores, and they're just like, once Australia was out there, they're just. The interest kind of died away, and they're focused on other things.
I was on Fiji, and then kind of dutted by the ref against England. England went through. 2027 is in Australia, and Eddie Jones was the coach of that runner-up in 03, the Johnny Wilkinson game. So. Look, wish him all the best, whatever he does moving forward. All accounts will be returning to Japan. He did have a 4-year tenure there back between 2012 and 2015. But rugby, hot mess in Australia for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
All right, something that's not a hot mess. We've definitely steadied the ship. Let's talk about it. Four remain: India, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. We'll talk India first.
Yes.
They're currently playing against the mighty Netherlands, who did manage a few wins this World Cup. They have been outstanding. 8 from 8, very highly likely to go undefeated moving forward.
Yep. Well, if they win this game, if they want to win the comp, they have to go undefeated. So
correct.
It would be an impressive feat.
Lots been spoken about Virat Kohli over the last few years, and is he past it? And then the last sort of 6 months, breaking that ton drought, at least in white ball cricket, and he's been King Virat. He's third, currently averaging over 100. He's only been dismissed 5 times, and definitely could get a few today as well. But the rest of them have been good. Captain Rohit Sharma's been very good, 400 odd runs, over 55. Shreyas Iyer and KL Rahul also have been very good. Their only probably sort of criticism, I suppose, of their top end is Shubman Gill, who we've always been a big proponent of on the podcast, has really struggled, and Sky has been a bit ordinary. So if they do lose early wickets, that middle order is probably yet to be proven just yet. But look, they're 8 from 8 when there's not many weaknesses there. No one expected them to really struggle through the group stage. I don't think many people saw an undefeated sort of run coming through. I thought they might have dropped one here or there. But odds on to win the whole thing, and going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, I'm being very impressed. that their bowling attack has probably been focused more on their quicks, with their quicks being very dominant throughout the tournament. Then what I thought it kind of at the start of the tournament, after watching a few games, I thought, it's looking like spin to win. A lot of teams winning, we're getting spin, but then it's kind of changed, and it's ended up being you need good quality quicks to also support those spinners to actually get good wins, because there's a lot of big scores getting thrown around.
Completely different to any of the red ball cricket that we've watched, recent series with England being over there, with us being over there. Yeah. We've followed quite intently, and it's a completely different kettle of fish. They've been dishing up roads, small grounds, hot weather, and it's really been a World Cup for the sticks.
Yep.
Having said that, the Indian quick's been very good. Mo Shami, 16 poles in 4 games, average 7, striking at tick under 10 balls. Pretty good. Tore Sri Lanka a new one. Jadeja and Bumrah also been pretty good. New Zealand definitely got their work cut out for them, but if there's anyone that loves a big upset and making it to the final of a World Cup, maybe not winning the final, but at least getting there, it's the Black Caps, and what a revelation Rachin Ravindra has been, announced himself on the world stage. He's had 3 tons, averaging over 70. He's only about 22, 23 years of age. The rest of their batting's been pretty good. Daryl Mitchell, Devon Conway, and big boost with Kane Williamson back, from the ACL. So he would have been, chomping at the bit to get ready for the back end of this this tournament. Aiming all his rehab around coming back for this. So, look, if anyone can cause a big upset, it's that little nation of 4.5 million people across from us, but it would be a huge upset on Wednesday if they were to get it done.
Definitely, and I think looking at their recent form, they've had the bit of the Mickey over.
They've dipped,
over India in one-day internationals. I think they were 4 of the last 6, with 2 of those being no result for rain. So I assume probably a bunch of those were played in New Zealand for that. So whether the home field advantage here for the Indians will be too much for the New Zealand squad, but on recent form, especially in the one-day internationals, they've been had the Mickey over them. It's been, I guess, a little bit closer in the other formats as well.
Problem is, it's not the other formats. So it's
also true.
India at home.
A lot of the similar sort of players, yes, but it is of course a different format.
These odds possibly a little better than what I had expected. $1.33 for India on Wednesday night. The Black Caps coming in at $3.25. Geez, it would be an almighty boil over. You could imagine there'd be 1.2 billion people that would be shocked if India don't get through to the final.
Shubman Gill just hit 16 off that over, so maybe you're playing the Netherlands and get him into some form.
That's right. Playing for a big ton here. All right, let's talk about our Aussies. Going to play South Africa Thursday night. South Africa had a pretty good run against us recently. We struggled over there in that warm-up just before the World Cup. So 4 out of the last 6 have gone to the South Africans. They were our sort of smoky dark horse. Watch out for them. And they've definitely haven't disappointed. Their batting has been extremely potent. Led by Quinton de Kock. We have to get him early. I think if we've got any chance, he's a tick under 600 runs at 65. But then you've also got to worry about Van der Dusen and Markram and the like. Bavuma's been having a stinker. He may not even play. So I think it's all going to come down to early wickets. And if we can jag 1 or 2 early, which we've done in a few games, we'll definitely give ourselves a chance.
Oh, agreed.
Their bowler's been very good too. So everyone knows, Rabada and Janssen pretty good. I hadn't heard much of this Coetzee bloke, but he's had 18 at under 20, so he's definitely going to be a handful. So it'll be interesting as well. Bat first, bowl first. I imagine we'll try and win the toss and bat and try and get 350 plus the way that this tournament's been shaping up.
Have you noticed a trend at all in the tournament about whether defending or chasing has been
good
preference?
I think a lot of teams that have set totals have come out. Probably should have looked.
Yeah,
this is maybe one for our research man if you're listening.
To check the results.
We've gone a few where we've bowled first and haven't really understood the plan. I think the other night against Bangladesh kind of made sense. Dead rubber.
Yeah.
Maybe try and, bowl them out and conserve a bit of time. The Bangladeshis, they
hitting 300.
Yeah, they were 50 more than they'd made for the whole tournament.
Yep.
So definitely gave us a game last night. But the Bison, how good was he?
Oh, yes.
177 knot. I thought he was going to try and go past what. So Watto used to have before, and we'll get to Maxwell in a second. Before what Maxwell did 4 nights ago, 185 was the highest score ever by an Aussie in ODI. And I thought the Bison was going to just try and get past there to go 1 and 2, but he played his role really well. And Smudge getting into the runs there too was nice because he hasn't had a bunch. Yeah, Maxwell, we've got to talk about it.
Yep.
A lot of people have come out and said it's the greatest ODI innings of all time, and I think it's pretty hard to argue against that, isn't it?
I think the timing when he came out, the batting on one leg for most of it.
Chasing. So there's been about 10 200s in the past. It's all happened in the first innings, so no one's ever done it chasing. So there's one thing that's never been done.
Yeah.
The game, the stage of the game, 6 for 90 or whatever we were absolutely up shit creek. Yep. Starting to look like, oh gosh, if we lose this, we may not make the semi-finals. Backs against the wall. Then the physical state of him, the cramping just got worse after the 100, and then after the 150, he just kept cramping up. And then to get the win, I think, it ticks all the boxes in whatever you're looking for in your metrics in greatest innings of all time. I don't want to go that far. I don't want to put it against Test knocks because
but for a one-day international,
ODI.
I think it's.
I think it's
especially in a World Cup to guarantee a place in the semi-finals and the way working your way through all of that. Yeah, I think. So in my mind, there's no doubt. I think it is one of the all-time greatest knocks of all. By an Australian, and it's a bummer that I assume most of Australia was abed.
Well, a lot of people were asleep.
Woke up to the fact that it was like, holy crap.
I went to bed. It was a work night. It was a game that I thought we would win. Just woke up and just saw. I got this off the internet, so I don't know if all these people have actually said this, but anyways, this is what the graphics said. Sachin Tendulkar said best ODI knock of all time. Wasim Akram said the same. Yuvraj Singh said an innings of a lifetime. Harbhajan Singh said the best innings ever. Ian Smith, Harsha Bogle, Michael Vaughan, some big names in terms of skill and in the commentary arena, all agreeing. So, look, if you've got your argument against it, you'd want a pretty compelling case, but I think general consensus, probably the best ODI innings of all time.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
All right, so Maxie had a rest last night. Didn't need him because the Bison was so good. The big talking point, I think, for Aussie cricket fans will be who's our best 11 for Thursday night. And I wanted to have a chat to you about that. Davey Warner, how good's he been? Bit of, speculation over the last couple of years, especially in the test arena. His white ball form's been a little lackluster, but and certainly...
and he's on his road to retirement as well. He's announced that.
For test cricket.
Yep.
But the bloke looks like he can play till he's 40, the way that he's been playing this tournament.
Is there anyone knocking down the door to kick him out of the squad?
No. I don't. Well, white ball's perhaps different, but you wouldn't want to the way that his form's been. Anyways, he'll be playing on Thursday night for sure. Travis Hebb back from that hand injury, he'll be there. The Bison at 3.
Yep.
And then you could start probably making some arguments. Steve Smith will play.
He was solid last night.
I have no doubt about that.
He played second fiddle to Bison, but he was out there and supportive.
Now it starts to get a little bit interesting. Did Marnus Labuschagne's fielding separate him?
Good question. Because his batting hasn't been amazing. In
the lead up in South Africa, he was one of our best and forced his way into the squad with poor Ashton Agar missing out. I think Labuschagne gets 5. I think Maxi 6, depending on game situation. If we lose a couple and we need someone to steady the ship, maybe Marnus, or if we need someone to
who keeps.
I think it'll be Inglis, and I think it'll be 7.
Yep.
Again, game dependent.
Yeah.
Which means poor Alex Carey misses out. That's the trend that's happened over the last few games. Yeah. I think there's no doubt that Sean Abbott will not take part.
Yep.
So we've got Carey out. We've got Abbott out. That means we still need 2 more to miss out. I think Stoinis and Green probably miss out there too.
I think so as well. If they've got the bicycle can throw down some rocks
if he needs to.
You've got
Maxwell can
Maxwell's
bowl
there.
8 overs of darts.
Yeah, so I think they've got enough options. They don't need to throw in an extra one. And both Green and Stein really haven't, knocked the door down with the opportunities they've had to cement that spot. So
both had ample opportunity. Both haven't taken it with two hands. It's a tough 11 to break into. So I think we're probably in agreement. We'll be seeing Head, Warner, Marsh, Smith, Labuschagne, Maxwell, Inglis, Stark, Cummins, Zampa, Hazelwood.
Yep. I think the only one-day games we played in the last year were against South Africa, and we won the first 2 games out and then lost the last 3.
Okay.
So, but that was in September. So some recent form there against South Africa, but they haven't played any other one-day internationals going back to 2020. I think it was like 2029, 2020, like the end of the year was last time they played one days.
Yeah. So
it's not a format we actually play a lot of.
Well, in an Ashes year as well, a bit happened there. Johnny Bairstow, etc.
Yeah, nothing over COVID, etc. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think that's our 11. Quick shout out to Zampa. How good's he been? Leading wicket taker in the tournament so far. So may need him to take care of some of those South African sticks, as Shubman Gill may have just hauled out there for 51.
51 off 30. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that. Get him to 100 off 10.
Yeah, if they're scoring pretty quick, aren't they? Yeah. 400 looks like unders, perhaps, if this keeps going this way. Anyways, Zamp's been very good. We'll need him on Thursday night. And maybe the only thing sweeter than us winning 7 in a row it has been how bad England have been. And after the whole passion of the Ashes and, being labelled cheaters, apparently, and all the rest of it.
Spirit of cricket,
moral victories. All the like that we like to hear from our pasty friends on the other side of the globe. They have been absolutely horrendous. We actually highlighted their batting as being perhaps one of the best, one of their strengths on paper. It's been garbage outside of David Milan. Stokes good last night, but too little, too late. Really,
exactly. Yeah, he was a long way down that list of batters for run scorers
before last night.
So but
they've just been terrible. So nothing really makes an Aussie smile more than that.
Oh, definitely. That's why we made them. We gave them the beat up to our preview for the World Cup to throw the Esky curse on them.
Curse.
Make sure they do terrible.
For any first time listener, generally when we pump up someone's tyres or a team's tyres, the commentators curse. They go out and do exactly the opposite of what we said would happen,
which is good.
Some teams that have punched well above their weight. Afghanistan, they automatically qualify for the Champions Trophy. Nearly knocked us off. Should have in 99 universes out of 100 universes. They win that game. Glenn Maxwell was out of this universe, and the Netherlands, knocked off South Africa, claiming 2 wins. They haven't been just rock up and smack the pants off them, which a lot of people was expecting. A lot of them are amateur cricketers.
For a lot of the tournament, they were ahead of England on the table.
Right, so that's right. Until the last 2 games, England's gone past them. So the Dutch can definitely hold their heads high after this tournament. Weren't just making up the numbers, getting a couple of wins, and it'll do big things for Dutch cricket. And given half of these blokes, during COVID were school teachers and they're semi-professionals, to be out there and bowling to Virat Kohli and the like, exactly. An unreal experience for them, and they've done well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, not just Netherlands, whether pushing that cricket into Europe more, we'll see some of those other teams potentially get involved.
You seen any highlights of that European Cricket League and they play on synth?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. There's a few teams that aren't quite there just yet. We'll put it that way.
No. What do you think about crowds so far for the World Cup?
Yeah, disappointing. Outside of the Indian games, which have been electric atmospheres. Yeah.
Well, I'd think if they could, the tournament organisers would want Pakistan to win. When do they play? They play tomorrow?
No, it's not. This is the last game.
Oh, it's the last game.
They lost to England last night.
Yeah. Well, I think the point is they would have wanted Pakistan to get them all out in 6 overs, whatever it is, to get the run rate to sneak in, because another Pakistan-Indian semi-final would have been ginormous for the event we're talking about. But I think we've finished up with 4 very good competitors for the finals.
There's been a few solid-ish crowds for the non-Indian games, and maybe there's a bit of bias as well. A lot of the cricket that I've watched has been the first 20 or 25 overs and then going to bed because of our time zone. So maybe people rolling in after work, and you see the highlights and a few people there, of a night time. But a few of those big stadiums looking pretty empty. Especially when you're comparing it to an IPL kind of atmosphere, and it's cricket mad people. So I don't know why they couldn't get the ticket prices must have just been a bit too high for those games. I think in hindsight, they maybe just should have dropped them a little bit.
Well, I would have thought they'd be cheaper just because of the amount of leftovers they would have had. And considering on the flip side, all the Indian games, the tickets have been a lot more expensive, especially that India-Pakistan game.
Yeah.
I definitely would have thought, being cricket mad, they'd just turn out for cricket. But I guess if it's not very cold, then they're not showing up.
Yep. And you can't blame people over there. It is the developing nation as well. We struggle with crowds here.
True. True.
So
we'll talk about the Pacific Championship game and how they'll get hammered for crowds.
Yeah. What does it mean?
Yeah. What does it actually mean? But Jimmy did get through to us. Mm-hmm. He said it's about even Stevens for whether you bat first or second. He counted 21 wins if you bat first out of the 44 before tonight.
Which would be 21 and 23. So about 50-50 flip of the coin. Which is interesting. So the chasing teams have fared reasonly well
as well.
Last few stories. Shakib Al Hassan decided to
it's a bit hardy.
Yeah, to time Angelo Matthews out, or to appeal it. Yeah. So again, spirit of the game sort of brought into question there. A few little talking points being timed out. I've honestly, playing a bit of social cricket over the last few years, and blokes are, they've got one pad on, they don't know where their bat is. They're halfway through a beer, they've just lit a dart, and someone gets out, you're like, come on, man, we've got families to go
exactly.
Shit. I suppose it's a little bit different when it's, the World Cup.
Yep.
But a very interesting appeal, and for them to actually go through with it. But look, neither of those teams were in semi-finals contention, so it was.
Well, but that's the point, though. Like, why were bangers going so cutthroat to
competitive?
Yeah, to be competitive in a game that really didn't matter too much. So, follow on that story. He was the first person to ever be timed out, first batter to ever be timed out and given out for that reason in the history of international cricket.
Incredible.
I think in 2007, Graham Smith put in, it was South Africa playing someone, and who was about 3 times the time. I think it was 6 minutes before the batter took the crease.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And they asked him if he wanted to keep it in, and he's like, nah, just keep his appeal, and he's like, nah, we'll just play.
Next time, hurry it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
cranky dad kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was the closest we'd ever gotten, and now we've officially got one in a World Cup.
There you go. That'll be a good pub trivia question in 10 years' time.
Oh yeah. Well, in their following match, he definitely ran out to the crease. He was moving quick, that one.
The poor Sri Lankans, a lot to sort of talk about moving forward. There's only sort of all the news breaking over the weekend, but the ICC has actually suspended the Sri Lankan Cricket Board, saying that
corruption in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. I think the country in general over the last few years. This isn't a geopolitical show, but from a few of the Sri Lankan people that I've had a chat with over the last couple of years, have said that things have well and truly gone pear-shaped over there. But thoughts and prayers, obviously, with the Sri Lankan people. If they lose, participation in international cricket, that's a big kick in the teeth for some people that are struggling over there at the moment. So
they love their cricket.
Hopefully, it's just some sanctions, and we don't actually lose Sri Lanka from cricket for the foreseeable future. But they sacked the entire board. Obviously, the government's pulling some strings. The ICC said no. We're stepping in here, and some millions of dollars have gone missing as well. So not looking good. We sort of spoke. We have spoken a lot about the demise of West Indian cricket on this show. I'm not saying that Sri Lanka's anywhere near there, but you're just seeing this trend, that they won the bloody World Cup 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
didn't they win the Asian Cup last year?
They made the final.
I swear they won that.
Nah, not this one.
Okay. But they went well. They did well. Like, I think they were the wild card. They came in and they did really well.
This is the tournament just before the World Cup. I'm sure they didn't win it. I'll be able to find this one out for you. Anyways, the point that I was going with was,
that's football, though.
That's specify here. Asian Cup cricket. This is why it's good to have the research man here, anyways. Well, India won the last game by 10 wickets.
Yeah, okay.
And bowled them out for 50.
Yeah.
Is that what happened? Oh, gosh. Poor Sri Lanka. Blah, 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 blah. So, Pakistan, India, Nepal, mighty Nepal. So, they did well in their group stage over Bangladesh and Afghanistan. And then there was a Super 4, which they had wins over Pakistan and Bangladesh. And then they made the final.
They made the final, got hammered.
And got scheduled for 50.
Yeah. There you go.
Mo Siraj. So still made the final.
Made the final.
Yeah. So got past, Afghanistan, Pakistan,
yep.
Some of these other teams. But look, we just we want to see Sri Lankan cricket to continue to thrive, and maybe there just needs to be a complete overhaul of all the board and clean it all up. Mm-hmm. That'll do us for cricket.
Did you want to touch on undefeated teams? So if India actually do achieve it and go undefeated?
Let's do that. So it's happened a fair bit. You have to think as well, this kind of format. Actually, let's touch on two things. So this format is only the second time they've run it. So 2019 in England was the first one with the 10 teams all playing each other, rather than two groups and a Super Sixes stage and the rest of it. So to go undefeated in this format, it's the same amount of games, but it's less knockout games. So I suppose it's kind of an interesting discussion, because a lot of the games in this you kind of feel like, well, you probably can lose them, whereas when there used to be quarterfinal cricket, the last three is, well, it's all cutthroat. But it's happened 4 times before. So the Windies in 75, 79, and Australia in 03 and 07 have done it.
But on the flip side of that, potentially you have some other. I guess it's the toughness of the matchups probably the same, but I guess the variety of the matchups is the benefit. So you get India playing all the other top 4 or 5 teams, as well as of course the lowly teams.
And in some of those 16-team World Cups, you do have some absolute gimmies. So you go out and play Bermuda, or
in your groups,
Namibia, or something. So I suppose in that kind of,
and we're talking about crowds, like
that kind of sense of it. It's maybe more difficult to do it in this type of format. But I suppose that just having that one less cutthroat game. I don't know. Maybe maybe if India goes undefeated, maybe it's the greatest performance in a World Cup.
I do prefer kind of, just with the nature of where cricket is, I do kind of prefer this format, just for the matchups you get. Like if India and Pakistan and the group in Pakistan doesn't make it out, then you don't get that game. And that's one of the biggest game that's going to be at this World Cup from a viewing point. Yeah. But then you're going to get everything else as well. So you're going to get all the other matchups. England and Australia, or Australia versus New Zealand. Like you go through it, you get all of it. So I think it's worthwhile, because otherwise you might miss out on that. They don't get that in the qualifiers. So at least you get one game of every potential matchup. So I think that's pretty cool.
I hadn't considered that. That's a good point that you raised. Yeah. So every single ODI World Cup, you're going to have an Australia and England, you're going to have an India, Pakistan, whereas in group stages, it's not necessarily going to be the case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you could miss out on one of those, what would have been an interesting matchup, see what would happen. But in this, you get at least one version of it, and then you move into the finals. And I still think the best 4 teams have made it through. Like, there's no one snuck through that shouldn't be there. No,
I wholeheartly agree there. And you've got to put in the work for a month. So that's one good thing about this format is takes out sort of the luck factor. You just got to rock up and win games of cricket. Yep. The other thing as well in terms of luck factor is the weather. So we've got to bring that in. There's been barely a a breath of rain around.
I think a couple of games delayed by a little bit of rain, but nothing.
We haven't had a single no result, and there's been a few Duckworth Lewises. On the off chance that a monsoon rolls through, New Zealand and Australia go. Yep. There's no time allocated for next day of play.
Yep.
So that's something to consider for Wednesday and Thursday. We're hoping and praying for nice sunny weather like we've seen the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I think good competitive games would be exactly what we're after.
Perfecto. I think next time that we talk cricket, we'll
on that note, the undefeated teams that I mentioned, West Indies did it in 75 and 79. You did that?
Yeah. Okay. Windy 75, 79, Australia 03, 07. So they've become the fifth to do it if possibly when they do it. Cricket. Next time we're on the pod might be a fortnight. So we'll probably we'll have a result. We'll have a result. We'll look at the finals games and we'll look at... Because the first one's Wednesday? Wednesday, Thursday, and then finals Sunday. Yeah, we'll have a... So a couple of weeks till the next pod, we'll wrap up the finals and look at the top batting, bowling performances, team of the World Cup, etc. Yep. All right, let's talk some rugby league. Pacific Championship ended last weekend with the Kiwis stomping on the Kangaroos, 30-0 over there in New Zealand. What is the Pacific Championship, you may be asking yourself? I did look it up. It's a long-term strategy from the ARLC with the aim of promoting the international elite game in a dedicated window, growing equity and exciting period post-grand final, and building more cultural competency within our game and fans and encouraging players to play for their respective nations. There was an Oceania Cup back in 2019 when Australia famously lost to Tonga, the first time that had ever happened. So I think what they're all looking at doing is trying to grow this international game. We've seen the rise of the Pacific Islands with the Samoans and the Tongans. And even the Fijians and Papuans, the Melanesians coming through. So obviously the big thing that rugby league doesn't have, the only thing really on union is the international game, I suppose. In this country. Yeah, exactly. The way that we look at it. Yeah, and outside of England and New Zealand playing us, there just isn't top tiers. And the Pacific region is the perfect place to try and grow it. Probably better than, say, Las Vegas and the Americans, but we'll save that for next season. That's about the money, baby. It's about the money. But I thought it was interesting to put. I think it makes total sense to put on this tournament. I thought it was interesting that it actually was broken into two tiers. It was the Pacific Cup and the Pacific Bowl. Samoa, I think it was. Yeah, Fiji, Papua. So Samoa with the big boys, and then Fiji, Papua, Cook Islands. No Tonga. Yeah, they were touring England. This is where it becomes very rugby league, and that already booked in a tour of England, and we're like, nah, sorry, bro, we can't go back on this. You're missing one of these big sort of growth areas, and the team that beat Australia back in 2019. So their planning probably could have been a little bit better. Yeah, agreed. But I think it's something they knocked up quickly, and to put into that period where they have no games now, essentially, compared to previous years where they had, last year was the World Cup, and the year before they played State of Origin at the back end of the series. That's right, COVID affected. Yeah, so they had football going into November, whereas before it had finished in September. So I think it was a good point to whack something else in there. I wonder what the players feel about it. So if you're one of these Aussie players that's played Origin, that's played finals footy, you might be playing 30 games of rugby league in the year. Yeah, your pre-season starts now. Like we're literally talking about teams that have been back at training this week. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure these internationals will get a week or two off, but that's just non-stop between your training and your play. And for people that are unaware, pre-season's I suppose a little bit different, but going into a season, training for rugby league is physically taxing. Yeah, and they spend months doing it. So, so it's just season starts in March. They're preparing, essentially for now. Yeah, they'll probably do some camps into Christmas, take a break, and then come back and hit it really hard. And then start of February, you're back into full contact and trial games. I just wonder if the toll on the player's body needs to be maybe reconsidered. And maybe you could see it with the Aussies. They couldn't defend the edge. New Zealand was just run rampant down the edge. Chance was really good. Jerome Hughes
let's
really good in the final.
Let's talk about those games because Australia and New Zealand both hammered Samoa, so to get through into that final. Australia beat New Zealand in, I guess, their group game.
Yep,
and then
which was here.
And then so that was 36-18. And then they went into the final game where New Zealand hammered us 30-0. And I guess there wasn't a huge difference in the teams. Like New Zealand 1 through 17 were exactly the same between the two games. The only change for the Australians was the forward pack, with the winning team having Jake Turbo, Tom Flegler, and Cameron Murray as the differences, but they were replaced by Haas Big Tino and Liam Martin. So it wasn't like
elite caliber players.
Yeah, it wasn't like you were taking a significant step back. You've got two of the best front rowers coming in, and I don't think I'd probably pick Murray over Martin just as a personal preference for what Murray's ball playing aspect can be. But Martin's no slouch, played Origin, so there's no huge difference there. The benches were exactly the same. The backline was exactly the same. It was, just the Kiwis outworked them from what I can see in that game, and like you said, went around the edges.
Big win for the Kiwis. This happens in rugby league. You just
the Kiwis come out.
Just once in a while, just go out there and pants them. It was nice to see caps given to Dylan Edwards and Nico Hines. I think they'll play a fair bit moving forward. Yep. The perennial Kangaroos chat over the last 6 months has been fullback and Teddy, and he's the captain. And when does he hand the reins over to a Reece Walsh or a Kalen Ponga?
After Roosters this year and seeing Teddy's working this, I think he's cooked. And whether that's maybe he's got a few niggles and that. Maybe he needs rest of those veterans. Maybe he's a guy that just needs a break. He needs to recuperate. But he's getting up there, and he definitely looked a bit more cooked than usual this season and this championship compared to recent form.
Bloke's about to turn 31. Reece and Kalen are about 8 and 10 years younger,
definitely.
Respectively. So definitely earned the right to sort of leave when he wants to, I think. Has done a lot for both club and state and country. But I would imagine the next time that Mal or whoever is picking the team, that it may feature Ponga or Walsh at one.
I agree. Teddy would be an interesting case to watch going forward as he gets into he's in the back end of his career. For the type of game he played as a fullback, with age maybe losing a step, does he have to do like a transition? Does he have to move into a 6 kind of role to maybe keep his starting spot in a side? Well, whether he could do that, whether he could roll in and be a 6 for the Roosters,
Well, that's a good little segue into a bit of talk about the Dragons and possibly paying out a whole bunch of Joseph Manu's contract. Yeah. I don't see this happening. I think it's, off-season media trying to run us a bit of a story. If I'm Joey Manu, why would I want to leave the Roosters system?
$5 million.
5 million, big reasons perhaps. To go help out the struggling Big Red V. I tell you what, as a Dragons fan and losing Junior Amon, probably going to jail, and if he doesn't, he's not playing league anytime soon, which is a shame because he's a talent. Yeah. And imagine Ben Hunt thinking, Joey Manu come over and play 6. And
that's the question. I'm assuming it's going to be 6. I believe that's his preferred position, so that's what the selling point is.
And you watch the games when he plays 6 for the Roosters and how good. The bloke can play 1, 3, 4, 6 and have a massive impact. But I think with 1 or 6 on his back, you get the ball in his hands a bit more and allow him to control and dictate the game a bit more.
And he doesn't have a guaranteed spot at the Roosters because they have other guys playing in those positions. They have the veterans there, which forces him more often than not into the centres. So the sell of course is $5 million plus. Hey, you can have 6. 6 will be, if you want to play 6, you can be 6. You can probably be 1 if he wants to be 1. The Dragons, they've got room. They could definitely fit 10. They definitely got room for it. Well, speaking of 10, there's also rumours about.
Fanua
Blake, who's committed to the Warriors for this upcoming season, but wants to move back to Sydney the following that. and the Sports Dragons, I want to offer him $3 million as well. $3 million over a couple of years. Throw some money at him to come and play for them too. So the Dragons are definitely in the hunt for top tier talent to join that squad. Why would you want to draw in the Dragons? I don't know, but if they've got money, there's a fair bit of money there, and they're keen to get some more talent after, I guess, a bunch of it's left, and they've been struggling for top tier talent at the team.
Back to Fanua Blake. Unwell family, perhaps parents back home. I think the reason, a few dollars thrown in there could help to entice. He's actually a Dragons junior.
Yep.
As well. So
there's plenty of Dragons juniors at other clubs.
Us and the West Tide, the two merger clubs that have leaked all this talent. You'd write a good, pretty 1 through 17.
Well,
lost talent.
That's the other thing going back to Teddy I've seen is the West Tigers will overpay for a burnt out Teddy Tedesco to go back and play one for them.
Probably.
So
sell a few jerseys.
Yeah, exactly. But
He did make a statement as of today. My only motivation to move is for family reasons. I really want all Warriors fans to know that I'm fully committed to getting into the 2024 season. That's big AFB.
Yeah, and that was huge. And he was huge for them this year.
Mate, you could argue he's the best prop in the game. Payne Haas has something to say about it, but if you got tiers of props, I'd be more than happy to have Haas and AFB in tier 1.
Yep.
Scored 8 tries, and that does stuff that a bloke at 122 kilos shouldn't be able to do. So, mate, if he does return to the Red V, albeit in 2025, would be welcoming him with open arms.
Yeah. So, just to follow up on the Dragons, I believe the NRL schedule gets released tomorrow, Monday.
Yeah, it wouldn't be far off.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Some rumours that the Queensland teams are a bit pissed off. That's probably because they've been asked to play outside of Queensland a bit more, because last year I think Brisbane played very, very heavy. They play a lot more games against the other Queensland teams versus forcing them to travel. So they get a better, stronger schedule. But I think the interesting one was Magic Round. Someone's got to miss out. And the rumours it's the Dragons. So,
well, there's really only 2 teams that should.
Yeah.
It's only us or the Tigers. Honestly, that the NRL's a business they've got to think about.
Who's selling tickets?
Who's selling tickets?
We want the Dolphins to play, so someone's got to miss out.
Yep. I don't think it's going to be the Panthers.
No.
I don't think it's going to be the
Broncos,
Chooks or the Rabbits. You start working down through the list.
Yeah. So, it's Tigers or Dragons, and it seems the Dragons don't have as much pull as the Tigers do. So.
It's all right. We haven't fared too well in Magic Round in the last few years anyway, so maybe put the feet up that weekend, boys. No barbecues at Vorney's place, please, and could miss out.
So if we circle the way around, thoughts? Australia losing New Zealand. Why do you think they lose? Long season, probably.
Long season, don't know.
Did play it in New Zealand.
Yeah, don't look. I sound like an Aussie that's making excuses here, but I don't know if this was a World Cup final. Would the result be different? I don't know.
Or would it be the same, considering the way the Kiwis
seem
to lift in those finals against us?
They sure do.
Yeah. What did you think of the crowd?
It wasn't too bad.
I think what did them dirty was the visuals.
Yeah.
So
of the final?
In the final.
Well, there's 12,000 people there, and it's not that big a stadium.
Yeah, but they're all on this side. They're all on one side of the stadium, out of the sun. So... the camera that had the feed had the game was showing the other side of the stadium, which had no crowd, which was all the sun. So on the people watching the game thought 5 people turned out for this. And so they had to cut in a bunch of shots on the on the other side in the shade where everyone was enjoying the game was packed. So I think they're just unfortunately when they were showing the actual game being played, there's no crowd in the background because no one wanted to sit in the sun to watch the footy.
Maybe it's just the optics. The
optics was bad.
Official attendance 13,200 there at Waikato Stadium. So I imagine that's close-ish to the capacity there. Yeah. They had 21 at Amy Park the week before, 24 at Eden Park. They're not bad crowds by any stretch of the imagination. And all the Kummels showed up for those 3 games up there, or 4 games up there in Port Moresby, which the Papuans took out over the Fijians. Yeah, well, just to mention, the PNG did win the Pacific Bowl, the other second tier of that, and played pretty well against Fiji and the Cook Islands. Looked pretty dominant. 18th licence looking more and more likely.
And final point, do you think anything's going to happen to Mal? Do you think he's going to do an Eddie Jones, or do you think he's all good?
I think he's fine.
Yeah, same. I think there are talking about extension. It's probably one game. Maybe a changing the guard coming up in some of those positions. Think 7, think 1.
Yep.
Just purely on age, but we'll
think
have to
9.
go forward. Yeah,
Harry Grant.
Well, he's on the bench. He's ready to go.
He'll come in, but there will be a few that'll be hanging up their green and gold boots moving forward. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go across the big ocean and talk some American football.
Oh! He broke his ankles!
Is that Al Michaels?
I don't think it's Al Michaels, no.
It just reminded me because Al Michaels has been getting hammered in the media for his commentary at the moment for his lack of energy.
How old is Al Michaels?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's old man commentates football, and he might not have the energy, especially for some of the...
He's one of the voice of the game.
Yeah.
He's bloody Biden's age. Focus it on the president. He can barely string a sentence together.
Yeah, maybe some of those primetime games, a bit past his bedtime, etc. So,
poor Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. 12th of November, 1944.
Yeah.
Happy Australian birthday to you, Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Don't listen to those media critics.
Then again, I think he did the Thursday night game, which was Panthers Bears, so it was
rubbish.
dreadful.
Yeah.
They did have a punt return, and everyone was like,
It was fun.
it was good, but his commentary wasn't he's gone, he's away, etc.
The 20, the 10.
It was just like, it was nonchalant, and people getting hammered, and I was like, but the flip side of that is he's commentating Panthers versus Bears. Who the fuck cares?
He's probably at the bar. Well, something happened. All right, let's talk. It's pretty much a mid-season review. We're going into week 10. Let's start with the AFC and run through the divisions. Yeah, there's been some really good football played by some teams that we expected, i.e. the Chiefs, the Ravens, maybe even a touch better than expected.
Yep.
But the Dolphins, 6-3, have been good. The Steelers, I don't think anyone thought would be 5-3. That AFC North is looking very, very hot. I think if the season ended today, all AFC North teams go through. I'll double check that for you.
They'll be close based on those rankings there. They're all 5-3 and ahead of the Bills at the moment, who are at 5-4. So they'd be pretty close.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. 5-3, 5-3, 5-3. Yeah. So the whole AFC North goes through.
Yeah,
if the season ended today, which it does not.
And because they're all have one game on the Bills at the moment.
Yeah.
Bills are, of course, playing theirs already.
Moving forward, I think that the Bills will be fine. But it's no one expected the AFC North to be quite that hot, which has been interesting. Jags, everyone thought, I think in the South would be good. I don't think maybe thought they'd be 6-2 good.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence seeming to hit his strides.
Yeah, and I think their defense has probably been the main thing. They've been playing really good. I think the benefit, though, is they do have 3 rookie quarterbacks in that division. And, of course, the Colts losing theirs, Richardson, so they've gone to Minshew, I believe it is.
Minshew Magnet.
Yeah, so...
Mania, magic. I just tried to say 2 words at once.
and combine them. So I think that they're better. They're going to be the best team in that division.
Yep.
So I think that'll definitely help their chances. Who
do we like moving forward?
Chiefs have been good. I think the Ravens actually... some of the teams that I thought were good, like Lions, and who was the other one? And they played the Seahawks as well, and they just hammered them. Like they let them score a touchdown and put 30 plus on them. So and you're just like, there's a significant difference here in the teams, and it's mainly on the back of their defense have been really good.
Their defense on a lot of the metrics is number one.
And Lamar just doing what he needs to do, find Mark Andrews where he can, and. I think the biggest probably question mark at the moment is running back because they've had guys roll through there, had a few injuries, etc.
Big Gus Bus, he's been going okay.
Yeah, but I think that a combination of Edwards Hill and throw in a bit of Lightning and Mitchell, they'll be deadly.
Zay Flowers, rookie,
been good,
been one of the better
I think so.
Rookie receivers.
They needed someone in the receiver core to step up, and OBJ's working his way back in, scored a touchdown late last week, so he's starting to hit some straps. So, I think the Ravens are just poised.
You look at that offense, and People need to start putting some respect on this man Lamar's name. You know, oh, he's just a running back. He's 17-1 against AFC teams.
Yeah.
Like he's so good. Start respecting the man. Maybe he needs to win a Super Bowl for people to start respecting him.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why the Baltimore Ravens could not win the whole thing this year. Always have a stout defense. A few of their secondary, starting to get on a little bit, and Marlon Humphrey and the like, but a lot of their younger players are
Hamilton's
good.
been really
Hamilton's
good.
young and good. Patrick Queen's young and good. They brought over Roquan Smith season before last.
Smith's been excellent for them.
One of the best inside linebackers in the game. They're just pretty much set at every position.
Yep. I think Finns.
Yeah, that offense is fun.
It's fun. I feel maybe they're Dave Grohl-ish.
Yeah. Who have they beaten?
Yeah, because I think they haven't beat anyone with a winning record.
Yeah, let me get you.
I believe was
let me
the
get you their
stat.
season.
Because they hammered the Denver and then they lost to the Bills the following week. Got blown out by the Bills. But yeah, I think the offense is fun. I think their defense is middle of the pack, which is probably their downfall. But yeah, I just don't feel like they've beaten anyone of note.
So they've beaten the Patriots twice. They've beaten the Panthers, the Giants, the Broncos, the Chargers.
Yeah, and they all have negative records.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
And then I'm losing, of course, to Bills, Eagles, and Chiefs.
So
all
lost
positives.
all three. All three of their losses have come to good AFC teams,
Yeah.
And the Eagles, I should say.
So I feel like they'll probably top that division. Oh, Buffalo needs to right their ship a little bit. They've been struggling. So if Buffalo can play for the way they probably should be playing, they'll end up winning the division. If not, I think the Finns might steal it.
Check out the Finns' upcoming schedule. Bye this week. Have a rest after going to Germany. Raiders, Jets, Commanders, Titans, Jets.
Yeah, win all those games.
They could win all those games.
But then they could back into the finals, losing to the Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills.
They do finish. Very hard schedule.
Yeah.
But the next month of football, right up until
6 weeks,
till
isn't it?
Christmas,
1, 2, 3, 4,
is
5.
very winnable games there for the Finns.
Yeah.
We could be looking at them being 12-3, 11-4 by Christmas.
Yep, I agree.
Who else in the AFC? So we've got to look at this AFC North and the teams outside of the Ravens. Steelers. Been sneaky good.
Sneaky good, but I'm just not sure Kenny Pickett's gone to the next kind of stage he needs to. And he's getting compared, of course, to Shroud at the moment, CJ, who's thrown more touchdown passes than Kenny Pickett has in his career in his 2 years.
And we'll get to them in a second.
Yeah. So I'm just not sure if they've got the offensive output to long term. Their defense is always going to be good, but I think it's down on what it's been in recent years just because they're not put in as good a positions as they need to be based on their offense. But
I agree 100%. Najee Harris has been down this year. Deontay Johnson has been
Harris has been outplayed by Warren. I think they need to split. They've gone 50-50.
Yeah,
I think
pretty close.
I think they should go 60-40 Warren at this point. I think he's just been so much better. But it'll be interesting to see how their game goes with Pickens kind of being a bit butthurt after last week, and with Johnson kind of being the focal point again of the offense. Whether they push the ball a little bit more. The Matt Canada, their OC's been a big storyline. Even a bloody he went to a Pittsburgh Penguins, I think it is, hockey game.
Yep, Penguins.
And the crowd started to fire Matt Canada. Actually, no, Tomlin went to the game, and the crowd started to fire Matt Canada chant because they wanted him gone. So, yeah, Pittsburgh fans don't mess around.
Yeah, the Steel City, mate. Yeah. They work hard. They play hard. That's for sure.
They want their teams to do well. So, yeah. I just don't think they can push it, say, with the Ravens. And I feel the same for the Browns as well. I think their defense, again, good. Offensive line, good. Their issue's quarterback. Whether he wants to play or not play, what's he injured with. Watson's getting kind of up and down. So, yeah, I don't like their chances.
Steelers have a big game against Packers this weekend, and then we'll get that rest of that shape of the AFC North. They play
the last one.
They play the Browns and the Bengals.
Bengals and Bengals, I think, have started to head
they've
up.
just been ascending.
Yeah, so I think Burrow's finally healthy. His calf's good.
Yep.
And they're playing excellent. So I Now I think about it, those other two, they'll fall to the wayside, and it'll be Ravens, Bengals fighting it out for the top spot in that division.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but being 5-3, possibly one of those teams in the Steelers and the Browns might be sniffing around for a seventh seed.
Sneak their way in.
AFC West, your AFC West, and it's the team that's always dominating the AFC West. Have we Have we spoken about Kelsey and Swift mania? I think maybe in the last episode the rumours were going.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
it's
blah.
blown up. He's in Argentina today.
Argentina.
Yeah, for her concert, and man, she changed one of her lyrics to talk about the Chiefs, man, and like they're all blowing up.
Really? Yeah.
Videos of her coming off stage and they're getting all smoochy. So yeah, by all accounts, it seems like they're lovebirds deeply in love. The interesting thing is the stats. He almost doubles his stats when she's in attendance.
Yeah, right.
And it was their last game before their bye week was they played Denver, and Denver actually beat them. No Taylor Swift in attendance. Kelsey had a bit of a down game,
and they played.
They
played Shake It Off
at the end of after the game. So,
that's funny.
Yeah, so it's all to them if they're happy. I think the best line was that'll be the greatest catch he'll ever make. So I tend to agree with that. She's a billionaire essentially. She creates her own economy wherever she goes. So yeah, all to him.
How funny it's completely changed the whole sort of football zeitgeist, bringing in this pop culture sort of side of things, and all these women asking, who is Travis Kelce and the like, especially down here, down under. There's not too many girls running around that'll run you through the illustrious career of 87 from Kansas City. That's for sure. Funny, but I think that's probably as much as we might touch on that.
Yeah,
I'm sure if you're in planet Earth moving forward, you'll probably hear about it.
Yeah, and then both Kels brothers ended up being in the Sexiest Men Alive for Athletes section. So Jason, yeah,
repping the big boys.
They had Jason on that the Thursday night football game because, of course, it was so boring. So they had him in the booth as an extra commentary to see if he got some inside knowledge of where his brother is, what's he doing.
Getting his post-career job sorted as well.
Exactly, and he's very articulate, very good.
His podcast,
yeah, the brothers, the podcast is excellent. But it was of course the funny bit of that was Al Michaels was enjoying that. He was super energetic and enjoyed that conversation more than he did the football. So anyway, picking on the old timer.
Poor Al. Yeah. This division, do we see anyone outside of the Chiefs getting out?
Not currently. Denver's been a little bit hot. I think the Monday night game against Buffalo would be very interesting. If Denver somehow wins that game, then they might have actually started to hit their straps. But, of course, big if. Did, of course, beat Chiefs in the last game. Chargers, I just don't think their defense is there. Their offense has been lighting it up. They throw the ball all over the place. And the Raiders just sacked their coach. That's probably the big news, that they sacked McDaniels. Second year of his 6-year contract will pay him like $60 million over the next 4 years to get rid of him.
A lot of teams do this. They're 4-5.
Yeah.
Like, if you 1-8, yeah, I kind of get it.
I think he lost the team. I think all the reports were he's, McDee's a bit of a dickhead by all accounts, and kind of worn it down. I think Mark Davis had enough of them, enough of him, enough of their relationship. He was on actually. That dickhead comment, they caught him on TV on the prime time of the Raiders last game when they showed me. I think they showed McDaniels and they flicked to him and they caught him saying dickhead.
Calling him a dickhead.
Yeah. So like such a dickhead or something like that. And then, he was fired a week later. So they then, of course, go out, get their obligatory one win, get their win after firing a head coach.
Yep.
So whether they win another game post that, who knows? They've got a reasonably not too bad defense. They're going to start a rookie quarterback going forward. And Aidan O'Connell.
Yeah, he had a run a little bit last week as well, didn't he?
Yes. So, they're going to rely on Josh Jacobs and that defense, I think, going forward and play some gritty Raiders-type football. But again, I just don't think they can keep pace with what the Chiefs are going to be doing. So I'd say the Chiefs will get out.
Antonio Pierce going to be the interim coach. Aidan O'Connell will be the starter moving forward. There's a guy there who's really fucking talented, and they use him a lot in the first month of football and has not been getting a look. And I'm obviously talking about Devontae Adams. Now, Jacoby Myers has been pretty good, but I think you got to get the ball into his hands and create some bubble screens, some quick slants, something.
Just something to even just get him going.
And he's also on one of my fantasy teams, and just not getting what I got out of the first month. But I don't think that they'll be bothering anyone come playoffs.
No, neither.
All right, is that all divisions? We've spoken about the East,
AFC.
we've spoken about the West.
Yep.
South essentially was the Jags. And we'll run with this now because we wanted to talk about biggest surprises. Texans been 4-4.
Yep.
And the quarterback play of CJ Stroud has been amazing.
Yeah, and especially in the direct contrast to what Young's doing for the Panthers.
Now, can you just put that down the offensive line? Texans' offensive line, not too bad. Panthers.
Yeah, but Texas' offensive line's been banged up. Half their starters didn't play at the start of the year. Yeah. So I think a bit of it has to go to CJ and all the. I
think more than a bit.
Yeah, and some of the storylines were basically the Panthers wanted to pick him, so was it Reich and Josh McCown, I think is
is he involved there?
Yeah, I think he's either the QB coach or he's the offensive coordinator. But there's video of them saying, we'll when you come out to Carolina, we'll go house shopping, etc. Like the two of them talking in the but sounds like the ownership overrid what the coach wanted to do and said, Young's, everyone says he's a generational talent. We have to pick him. So they picked him, and it's the best thing that probably could ever happen for Houston because he's ended up there, and he's been really, really good. Really elevated Collins, Collins Brown and Woods, and then throw in the young fella, the rookie in Tank Deli, who's had 3 massive games as well. So
look how banged up they are as well.
I know.
Like moving forward, like Pierce, Collins, their fullback likely to miss. Half their O-line's on IR. I suppose Tunsil's there, Shaq Mason's there. A few of these better offensive linemen, and that's why they earn the big bucks. Some of these big left tackles, you get them out there and protect the rookie.
Yeah.
Let's get his current season numbers because it's obscene. Like he's maybe on track for one of the best rookie seasons of all time.
Yep.
Would I be wrong in saying that?
Yeah, well, you throw 5 touchdowns in a game, it's definitely going to help. So
these are his numbers. Yeah, I think if he doubles this, that's probably the best rookie season ever. Yeah. He's thrown 2,270 yards, 14 touchdowns, 1 pick. Yep. That's the huge thing out of all of this. 1 pick, quarterback rating at 103, and throw in a rushing touchdown there too. He has been sacked 18 times through 8 games, 2 and a bit of games. So still copping a little bit of pressure, but he's just playing lights out. And if the season ends today, it's him versus Puka Nakua, wouldn't it be for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, at this stage, yes. And I think those records there, most passing attempts without an interception to start a career, most passing yards in a game, the 470, and the most passing touchdowns in a single game by a rookie, tied with a bunch of other guys. But
a few guys that you wouldn't have thought of, Daniel Jones in there, Jameis Winston.
But it's he's definitely showing out there for Houston, and they've really found something. And I think that team's actually been pretty good at finding talent elsewhere in the last couple of years, and now they've added the quarterback to it. Versus the other way around, which is what kind of where the Panthers are. They've got the quarterback and now got picks to then fill out the rest of the roster. So Young's probably wait and see what he's doing year 3 kind of thing, and see if he's really picked it up.
Yep.
Versus now where they're still a team kind of building.
And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we know how quick the NFL moves, and thinking that the Rams were the Super Bowl champs 2 years ago. Taking it back to the top of the show, the Texans the only team in big sports team in Texas that's never won one. Could you imagine a world where in
a couple of years time,
3-4 years time, with this bloke at the helm.
Yeah, well, you got to remember there's a huge change in the guard of the quarterback position. Like Aaron Rodgers is the only one left, say, of that ilk. You think of
the Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger,
Eli Rivers, and Rodgers is kind of the last one left. Yeah. Matty Ice has gone too. So, Roger's the oldest one, and then I think 6 years younger is then Russell Wilson, and then everyone else is younger again. So
big changing of the guard.
Yeah, exactly. We're in this young quarterback, and we had a lot of really good quarterbacks come out in the last couple of years. There's a lot of teams starting, first, second, or third year guys at this point that really need to capitalise on, I guess, their talent before it dwindles, and see if they can score a Super Bowl.
Let's jump over to the NFC, and there's one team that we definitely need to talk about: the Birds. Yep. Philly 8-1. They really entertained us last year in the Super Bowl and went very, very close to winning it. Are we seeing maybe a repeat effort here from the Philadelphia Eagles?
What I think interesting is they haven't played their best, which is also scary. Like they've been good, they're winning games, but they've just missing things here and there. They've had to tweak things, they had to be better at certain things, but they've just been still winning, being able to get wins and progress forward. So I think which is scary. They can only get better from here. And I think they're going to dominate and come out of the NFC. I don't think any of the other teams at the moment have really kept pace with them.
It was interesting a few weeks ago, when the Dolphins was sort of talking about them and they hadn't really beaten anyone good. Yeah. And then we'll see how they go against the Eagles, and the Eagles just stomped them.
Yeah.
The 31-17 scoreline probably didn't reflect how dominant that game was. They have the bye this week, and then how about this? November 20, put it in your calendar, Super Bowl rematch at Arrowhead, play the Chiefs. This next run, look at the run moving forward.
Yeah, we're looking at their start of their season. The Dolphins have been up there, but we're calling them the pretenders. The Cowboys are probably the only really good team out of that list that they have beaten. And they did, of course, drop that game with the Jets.
But look at this run before Christmas.
But yeah, the run back is very tough, though it ends probably nicely for them.
So through end of November, start of December, Chiefs away, Bills home, 49ers home, away Cowboys, away Seahawks, and then a pretty easy sort of finish with double Giants and Cards. But the next sort of month we'll get a good sort of litmus test as to how good these Birds are with the brotherly shove, the tush push. No one seems to be able to stop it.
No, and everyone's chasing them. So they're, I think, 2 games ahead of every other team in that division, in that conference at the moment.
Let me double check that. I think you are right there. NFC. We're upside down here. That's okay. We can go upside down. There we go. Yeah, you're right. So Lions are 6-2, and then they're 3 games ahead of the 49ers. So they're leaps and bounds ahead of anyone else, and then it's going to be a real dogfight through the rest of the NFC.
Which is interesting because Lions have been really good. They're the second team there, and then it's a huge logjam with the 49ers, Saints, Seahawks, Cowboys, and Vikings all sitting with 5 wins. So. Someone from that pack has to clear themselves and win a division and get into the playoffs.
Let's go through division by division. We'll go through those other NFC East teams. Cowboys have steadied the ship. I think they're a playoff team. Your thoughts?
Yeah, just not as good as the Eagles, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It seems to be the case. That Eagles-Cowboys game, I think, was the most watched game this year so far, and it was a good competitive game, but the Eagles just had enough to win that. So I think the Cowboys are close. I think they missed Diggs, and I'm not sure if they've kind of hit their straps yet offensively.
Commanders, I think maybe that 4-5 might be a little flattering for them. Sam Howell's done very well. Good, yes. Like his numbers have much in the same way as Stroud's numbers.
I don't get really trading away their whole defensive line though.
Yeah, so Chase Young gone since our last potty,
and Sweat gone.
And Sweat, yeah.
They're 2 big guys on the end.
They must have got good deals for him.
Well, they got what did they get out of the Bears? No, they got a second round pick out of the Bears for Sweat, and they got a 3rd round pick out of the 49ers for Chase.
That's garbage.
So the Bears are just like, how the fuck did we get the other guy?
Chase Young was being touted as the best defensive prospect in years.
Well, he played with Nick Bosa, so they're going to be back together. So they're getting that back together.
Back in town, eh?
So, but yeah, that defense is already ridiculous. It's just getting more and more ridiculous. But Sweat, to his credit, was the best defensive player for the Bears the other night. Probably not that difficult, but he was very, very good to put pressure Young into a lot of missteps.
And then the poor Giants lost Daniel Jones. The ACL confirmed last week. You saw him drop back. You saw the non-contact injury. Your heart sort of broke for him just then and there. And 2 weeks ago, we saw poor Captain Kirk Cousins go down with the ruptured Achilles. That's 2 Achilles injuries for big name quarterbacks in the league. Yep. So
it's a tough league. That's for
tough league, big rehabs, and it's unfortunate because you think about the contact and the high velocity impact of so many of the collisions. And then a 3-step drop or a 5-step drop, and
just pushing off, and then
and sometimes it
just gives out.
It just goes. So, thinking of those 2 QBs and their rehabs, that's a good segue perhaps to go over to the NFC North, who bring in Josh Dobbs. The Vikings, I should say, bring in Josh Dobbs to replace.
And they've been very good. They started
Cousins.
1-4 and now have won 4 straight.
Yeah,
without Jefferson. So
when the gritty comes back, it could be a 2-horse race there for the NFC North. The Packers and the Bears going to try and do their best to stick with them.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen from those 2 teams, it's probably not. The others are ahead of them. Josh Dobbs' story was interesting. I think he did a podcast yesterday, and he was talking about how Jonathan Gannon, who's the head coach of the Cards, was telling him not leave, and essentially it was like lied to his face. And then they ended up trading him to the Vikings and. Yeah, he shows up. I think he's there for a couple of days. Wasn't meant to play in that game. Gets thrown in because the rookie Jalen Carter, I think it was, got injured early in that game, and he plays 3+ quarters. Puts on 31 points, and wins it late in the fourth quarter for him.
Respect the man, hey?
Yeah, his numbers have been excellent for both Cards. This is his 3rd team this year already. Trades too. Let's hope the Vikes do him solid and he'll be around there for a little while. By all accounts, actually, because Kirk Cousins deals up, and I believe they're going to re-up him. So it looks like Kirk's going to stay in Minnesota. But having Josh Dobbs as your backup's not a bad option.
They have Saints at Broncos, Bears into the bye. So definitely two, possibly 3 wins there.
Yeah, they will be competitive in all those games.
For sure. That's the North done. That's the East done. We've got 2 divisions to go as I get to my right tab here. The NFC South has been a bit funner, I suppose, than people expected. I think everyone probably thought a lot of these teams were going to be dog shit. The Saints,
they haven't been great.
The Saints are 5-4, and the Falcons did start hot and have now sort of gone probably to where people thought.
They're just like, hey, all that drafted talent we've got, we're not going to use them. They're going to be distractions.
Dude, Kyle Pitts, fantasy owners, the man himself, probably the most physically gifted tight end
they love
maybe
Smith,
ever.
So they
bring in Jonnu Smith and then use him more. Go figure.
And same with Robinson. They've worked him sort of out of the rotation and using Tyler more, Algier more. So
which is weird because Robinson was banging those first few weeks. Remember we did a fantasy video at the start of the year. We're like, we're not sure about Bijan. We're not sure about the hype.
I was like, I'm
those
not
first
sure
2 weeks, I was like, that's the Esky curse. He's going to get 20 carries and 120 yards every game. Just fading him a little bit.
It's an interesting contrast because a lot of teams for both wide receivers and running backs have taken a very casual approach to the rookies, the first rounders, unless they were forced into it. Like Vikings and Addison had to play him. And he's kind of really had to step up in that. But
taking that role with bells on,
exactly. Flowers didn't really started slow, but then it's kind of exploded because they need him to do that role. But the other guys, Gibbs, don't want to play him. We'll take care.
And then Montgomery gets hurt,
so they slowly work him in. Reynolds gets a fair bit. Then they give him the workload, but Montgomery's back, so maybe he goes back to more 50-50. But again, they brought him on slow. Same with Robinson. He started off, and then they kind of bring him on slow. Johnson's played bugger all for the Chargers, bringing him, and they've got
he's wide receiver 4 there.
Yeah, well, and the 2 of those wide receivers are injured now, but they're still bringing him on slow.
Smith and Jigba's getting a little bit,
but he's he's 3rd in that group. But with DK kind of being a bit banged up, he's been getting more. But again, it just seems like for this year, for whatever reason, the rookies have just been coming on along a bit slower at those skill positions. So. It's interesting. There's some of the takes from different teams.
NFC South, the division winner will be the only playoff team, you'd think.
Yeah.
I think it's the Saints.
Yeah, same. I think
Off the back of the
I
defense.
like what Banker's been doing for the Bucks. They're just not as quality on the defense as they've been, and their offense is good. It's just not great. Panthers, of course, are not going to get out of there, and Falcons, I just think they can't get out of there their own right way. Who's playing quarterback for the Falcons? Have they given up on Ritter? I feel like they have.
Ritter. Yeah, so Ritter is not starting this week. What's the fella's name? I'll get it for you. Depth chart, Falcons. So they played him a little bit last week.
Heineke.
Yeah, of course.
Taylor Heineke. I was like, it's not Minshew. It's a guy of that kind of ilk.
Yeah, journeyman kind of man.
Yeah, has a big week and everyone gets excited about it.
Yeah, he played the whole game last week, I think.
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
The Heineken man on his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th NFL team. Let's go, Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
Maybe throw it to that big, skillful tight end that you've got.
Yeah, or hand it off to that really skillful running back. Get him involved.
Algier and Johnny Smith coming right up.
True. Yeah. But I think, talk about the Saints, Derek Carr's been good. They've been solid. Yep. Mike Thomas trying to beat up construction workers today is a bit of an interesting one.
What happened there?
They were using maybe not his driveway or parking outside his house.
I do hate that.
But he got a brick and threw it through one of their cars, and then I think he hit a bloke. So did get arrested. Not sure what that's going to mean for him.
Misdemeanor charges, simple battery, criminal mischief.
Yeah. So the meme going around is what's Derek Carr do? Because it's now been Antonio Brown, Henry Ruggs. Olave got a speeding ticket as well.
A speeding ticket.
Well, he was doing 120, I think, in like a 60 zone. So as quick as Ruggs was, but he didn't hit anyone. And then Mike Thomas does this.
He does have that bad boy look about him, Derek Carr, doesn't he?
He's the dude off Toy Story. He's
Sid.
Sid of Toy Story. That's him.
He kills toys.
Exactly. That's him. He's just grown up playing football. But I think their line's solid. They got Kamara back there. Jamal Williams.
Killing it.
They've got the talent there, as we mentioned. Thomas might miss some time, but they got Olave there too. And their defense is good. Cam Smith's good. So they're just a well-rounded team. They'll probably win the division. Don't think they're scaring anyone come playoff time.
I agree with everything you just said there. And the NFC West. So one team that's sort of slid a little bit and, looked like world beaters a few weeks ago in the 49ers. And, again, my surprise for the NFC has been the Seahawks doing much what they did last year, surprising everyone and coming out being 5-3.
Yeah.
You'd think the 49ers just got way too much talent on board to... Well, they play playoffs. How far do they go?
I think the main thing is they need that talent healthy. That's been the big issue. They've had one or two dudes down, whether it's CMC, whether it's Samuel, whether it's Bolzer. Like they've had a guy down where they just haven't performed. And whether, losing a key piece like that really hurts their system for what Brock Purdy wants to do. They're on a 3-game losing streak, aren't they?
Yeah, they started 5-0.
Yeah, so... they're in that kind of position now where they need to right that ship and really take that division. But I don't think who else was in that division off the top of my head?
Cards and Rams.
Cards aren't going to challenge them. Rams have kind of fallen away with Stafford being injured. So they played Ripon last week, who they've now sacked, and they're playing. They're playing a quarterback this week. Again, another journeyman that I can't remember his name.
Cardinals.
No, not Cardinals.
Rams.
We're talking Rams. For Cards, should be Kyler. Kyler should be back. He should be playing this week.
Carson Wentz.
They've picked up Wentz and they're playing Carson. So it'll be, he's been struggling the last couple of years, of course, with injuries, and his play really fell off a cliff. But they beat good teams, and they beat Steelers and Cowboys, and I guess Rams to start the year with a full strength squad, but then fell off against Browns, Vikes, and Bengals. Two of those teams ascending, but
you've seen the common thing there as well. 17 points in 3 games. You're not going to win a whole heap of games scoring 17
versus scoring 30 plus in all the other ones. So
coming off the bye, this is their run moving forward. Jags, Bucks, Hawks. If they can get their season back on track, they have to go and win at Jacksonville. But then
it's hard because then they go back into Eagles, Hawks.
Well, look at that travel. Actually.
Ravens.
Yeah. So they've got to go. They got to fly. I suppose coming off the bye, but they got to fly to Florida. Mm-hmm. Then they got to come back to the West Coast to play a Florida team. Then they got to go up to the Pacific Northwest, and then they got to go back to the East Coast. So
and then go back home. Then you got to go to the desert.
They'll be playing playoffs. They just over the last month they've gone from Super Bowl faves or juggernauts to
they have some weaknesses when they're missing core guys. So.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And then
who was the other outside? Who were the other teams in that division?
Rams, Cards,
and who was the other one? Oh, Hawks.
Hawks.
I think the Seahawks have been good, but I'm not sure Gino's been good enough to that team to push them into a playoff. They're pretty close. They're 5-3, but I think with DK kind of being up and down, their defense probably hasn't been as good as it was last year, and Walker's been a bit banged up too. They really haven't got their run game going over the last couple of weeks. Because what's their recent record? I think they've been losing as well recently too.
I'll chase that up for you.
I'm not sure if they can keep pace with what they did last year.
They are 5-3, and recently they're coming off that belt. Yeah, they got smoked by the Ravens. That's right.
Browns and Cards, they should beat them. Got hammered. Well, got beaten by the Bengals.
They got lots of NFC games and division games coming up. So Commanders, Rams, 49ers, Cowboys, 49.
Then into Eagles.
That I could see a slide coming on here for the Hawks.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think they're as competitive as the other teams we've mentioned.
Any other talking points? Reffing? Haven't liked it very much.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a question because I think reffing consistently has been average for many years. Like I think there's everyone talks about the referee like, they missed that call. Especially if you watch a game, you're like, why'd that team get the whole call? And then this team does the exact same thing. It's all different. And it's kind of messed up. I wonder with the, social media is one part of it. I wonder if the gambling aspect, the fact that they can gamble more on the NFL, that the core decisions on penalties that have significant impact on results has been now elevated for the fact that it's, as I wrote it there, fucked me parlay.
Parlay.
Because the Yanks have no idea about multis over
We call them multis. We've been doing them down here for about 15 years.
1,000 years.
Yeah, I don't know, for a long
We came
time.
off the ship and created multis. That's pretty much how it happened.
I think that was a bit more two-up, flipping coins.
But yes, the old parlay. But whether that's kind of heightened people's criticism on the rest based on the decisions they're making, especially the ones that get the wrong, that has been heightened and being spread out a bit more.
I think it's all hyperbole. I think since the dawn of time, refereeing decisions have been questioned.
This also could be true.
And I think now with social media, it just gets amplified and goes into the echo chamber a little bit more.
But for whatever reason, this year feels more horrendous than previous years.
I'm not feeling it.
From what I've seen, what do
you reckon in league? Look, rugby league's probably the thing that we follow through our winter here, and I feel like every year, like the referee's getting worse. Like it's blah blah blah. And I just think it's just echo chambers and cameras and social media. That's my personal.
I think the bigger problem with rugby league is they change the rules every week.
Well, that probably doesn't help.
So that's why the referee's always terrible. Whereas I feel like because the NFL, the rule set's basically the same, doesn't change all season. They have the same ref crews that are always together. They always, ref those games. They always have the same sort of things. But just for some of the replays, the things like just key miss, and then the stuff that I think I think the problem is they've added too much grey area, probably with offensive and defensive pass interference.
Yeah, there is a lot of that.
And that's the stuff that's not reviewable, and depending on who calls it, that they it's added a. And I guess with the player safety aspect into it as well, they instead of just letting the play out, they're getting involved maybe too much, more than you've seen in the past, which is what you're seeing more now, which is why people complain about it more. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of. It'd be an interesting thing to do a little bit more research into it and see.
That actually making more erroneous calls.
What the penalty calls are like. What are people's sentiments with it? Outside of that, the big stories, Bill Belichick, hot seat. All the rumors are at the moment that Rob Kraft might want to do something new next year.
Wow.
Which is a huge thing for Bill. Yeah. There's a video doing...
That's a Simpsons meme. So after 20 years, it's so long and good luck. I don't recall saying good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 71 years of age, old Bill Belichick. Yeah.
And there's a video doing on the socials at the moment of him kind of doing a walk of shame out of like a ring video, walking down the stairs without his shirt on and walking away. But who knows? That video could be 10 years old at this point. Who knows? With one of his previous lovers, as you will, old Bill. But yeah, the Patriots are struggling, and his head's on the chopping block. What else did we have there?
Seems so unfair.
I know, for his history.
He should be allowed to have 10 losing seasons if he wanted it.
Let him see the right the ship. Quarterback QB play, they've all played. Rookie QBs have all played this year. Out of the first round, so that's all been good. And then I guess we're at the final bit, mid-season. Super Bowl predictions and your MVP.
I might go completely boring and go the rematch. I think the Chiefs and the Eagles, they're the only two teams that look sort of maybe head and shoulders above the rest of their divisions or their conference rivals, I should say.
Yep.
I'll go both of them. MVP's hard. MVP, I don't feel like there's a
tough at the
moment. I'll get some odds.
Yeah,
I actually hadn't thought about it.
I think
Lamar. I think Lamar probably is one
for odds at the moment.
But no one's been outstanding. Like
blowing everyone else out of the water. Well, hey, I think Jalen's been good, but I think Lamar's probably been better. I think it probably has to be Lamar at the moment.
Futures.
So
Mahomes is 350.
Yeah, I guess Mahomes
I don't know. By his standard,
his numbers aren't.
By his standard, he hasn't been that good, I didn't think.
And
Hurts 420, Lamar 550.
Here's the thing that always does my socials at the moment is Russell Wilson's got better stats than Patrick Mahomes does. So
really?
Yeah. So in more touchdowns, less intercepts, and more yards. The key metric they always show is defense. The Chiefs have got like 4th overall defense, and Denver's got 32nd. But I don't think he's been that good. I see Jalen and Hurts up there. Oh, sorry, same dude. Hurts and Lamar up there.
It's all quarterbacks until we get to CMC at 26 and Tyreek at 51. If Tyreek continues on his trajectory, we've spoken on this podcast before about how hard it is for non-quarterbacks to win the award.
He'll get 2,000. Yeah.
What if he has 2,016 touchdowns?
What did Cooper do that other year and then he still didn't get it?
So that's the argument against Jefferson in recent years. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's quarterback usually wins the MVP. He'll definitely win the Offensive Player of the Year award, I think, for Tyreek if he keeps this pace. I think, probably Lamar and Hurts would be my favourites, followed probably by Joe Burrow at the moment. He's kind of been heating up. I think that, again, they all stay healthy. That's where I kind of think the MVP will go. And
Super Bowl, you going to go on fun?
I think Eagles, I think are my favourite to win it all at the moment. Who do they play? Probably Kansas out of that. I actually
so boring.
Yeah, I do like the Lions though. I really
there we go.
I have been really
Smoky the Lions.
I've really been enjoying Lions football. I really enjoy. Is it Campbell? Dan Campbell, their head coach. What they're doing. They seem like a really kind of gritty football team. Shock out of Michigan. What do you expect out of Detroit? So
your fun team's going to be the Lions. My fun team will be the Dolphins. Yeah, I think that high-powered offense, turning guys like Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane into superstars, I think they've been pretty fun, but obviously need to beat a few good teams.
We talked about offensive player. Who do you think defensive player of the year at the moment?
Yeah, good question. Again, don't think there's a standout. You want me to get some odds?
See if you can find something, because I think Bosa's been down. Like his sack numbers are way down. TJ Watt's been good, but I think Crosby's probably been better. It's probably the main one I can think of. I don't think there's a quarterback that's been blowing anyone away.
This is 3-horse race. So at 285 apiece, Parsons and Garrett, and TJ Watt's 350, and then it blows way out till you get to Crosby.
I think Crosby at $14, I think, is good money for the way he's playing at the moment. I just wonder he's not on the team that's going to get enough hype.
Yeah, I think that
maybe that'd be Miles' issue as well, and
bit.
That's why Micah probably wins it again. Because being on America's team, you'll get a lot of high balls. So, but I just don't think Micah hasn't been putting up the numbers because they've been game planning him out of a lot of games. Especially in that Eagles game, they were triple teaming him, throwing that big offensive line around. So.
Anyways, that's our half-season wrap. Next time we pod, we probably have a pretty good look at the third quarter of the year and what things are shaping up to happen as Virat Kohli just gets bowled by Van der Merwe. I think I've royally fucked that, but
he'll want to see if he can keep that ball and take it home. After that one.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. He's a good character, this fella. I've seen him around in the World Cup a fair bit. I think he's the oldest player at the World Cup. This fella.
Gets Kohli out for 50. India are at 200 for 3 now with 28 overs down. So they're 400 still on the cards.
Still on the cards. But no tons for Kohli or Sharma.
No one's good. Yeah.
All right, that'll wrap up our NFL. Let's stay in America.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up. Bang!
So the NBA in-season tournament kicked off yesterday. I was round at a mate's place watching a fair bit of it. The first thing that stood out to me was the colours of these courts and how difficult it was to actually find the ball. I felt like I was watching a video game for a lot of it. Get at us in the comments and let us know how you felt about the courts. Some were good. I think the lesser stated ones were good, but like that Houston one, that Phoenix one where it's just bright red, bright purple, it's fucking hard to watch. I like the idea. It's probably taken from a European sort of perspective about having sort of in-season, cups and tournaments and the rest of it. The difference being that these all count towards the regular season games, other than there will be a standalone final, which doesn't count. I like your points there. This time of the year, football is king in America.
The season's really just started in the NBA as well.
Yeah, so trying to get a little bit of early season hype around the NBA. Coming off the World Series and start of football and college football, it's a hard sort of competitive time for them. And then obviously the viewership, once the playoffs roll around in April or in May, I should say, it really picks up. But I don't hate it. It's new. It's teething.
I don't know if I love it either. It's like you've just started a new season.
Seems a bit gimmicky.
Oh, well, that's the thing. I feel like it's gimmicky for...
than you normally would, and we probably saw that a little bit yesterday with the games actually being quite close. We didn't get an overtime, but we had a few sort of late finishes close finishes, I should say. I don't mind the idea. It'll be interesting to see what it actually means moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know whether... like you said, they toned down some of the colours maybe going forward.
Bro, it was too much. Yeah. Some of them were too much. I was like, I like the idea, make it colourful, make it fun.
Make it different.
Jerseys.
Like, it's clear it's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
But some of it is like, it was also like, I can't see where the fucking ball is. I don't know what's going on. So I
agree.
I think some of it was a bit too much. What about the Joker? He's already onto his third triple dub, and he's only missed one by
I think he's missed two by like a couple of...
Two by one, something like that.
Yeah, he's on MVP form already.
And looks thrilled about being back to work kind of memes coming out for Joker.
He's definitely the best basketball player at the moment.
And
the Nugs are already off to a red hot start. But I think the key stat there is it's his 108th triple double in his career, which is now he took over LeBron and Jason Kidd. On the all-time list, and he did it in 800 fewer games.
800 fewer games.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's a fake start, but the dude's now putting in extra effort. Like that's why he's the MVP. That's why he's key for that team.
I think Russ Westbrook actually has the record. He does.
Yep.
So he has 198 total. That's Westbrook I'm talking about, and Joker's already on 108.
Yeah, he's fourth all time.
So he's fourth all time. He's only got a few guys you might have heard of him: Magic Johnson and Oscar Robertson ahead.
And they've all played 400 plus more games than he has.
Yeah, so he'll definitely catch Magic, who's only 30 ahead of him, and then he's got a little bit to go before Robertson and Westbrook. We're going to talk about the team that's been horrendous, really, without Ja Morant.
They're 1-8.
The Grizz, they've only won one game. They did a little bit of off-season movements, so sent Dylan Brooks over to Houston, who's been really quite good over there at the Rockets. Marcus Smart taking a little while to get used to his Grizzly teammates, and they just do not look like a threatening team without Ja Morant.
Agree. And some of the memes, like, they can't sell tickets at the moment. So
what are you saying? You can get nosebleeds for $4.
Yeah, the cheapest tickets to the game's $4, and at the moment, I think a large fries from Macca's in the States is $4.11. So you can either go to a Grizz games or get a whole bunch of hot chips. So I think I know what a lot of people over there in Memphis are doing at the moment, and that's hot chips. So
I know as an Aussie on tour, what I'd be doing, I'd be sitting up in the nosebleeds for $4. Wonder what a Bud Light cost up there. I'm going to imagine it's probably more than the ticket.
Probably a row of seats. So,
a row of seats.
Yeah. That's how we should measure things now, by how many Grizz tickets it's worth.
How many Grizz tickets? How many Grizz tickets is this episode of the Esky making? Half a ticket?
We might get half a ticket.
Half a ticket. But they've been struggling, which is a shame because
is he suspended? So
25 games. So
it's his big suspension.
Yeah, so they've still got 2/3 of his suspension still to go over the gun flashing incident or incidents.
For his second or third time.
So look, you don't want to it's a long season. Yeah. You can come back from 1-8, but you wouldn't want to be. In the 25 games that he's out, if you're 5-20, you're done.
Yeah, that's a long way to come back.
You're done. So, Ja probably needs to be sitting back and thinking about his future and, what he wants to do as a basketballer, because we all know the immense talent that the guy has.
I agree.
And it shows when he's not playing and the Grizz are struggling as much as they have been. Dylan Brooks' new team, the Rockets, they've won 4 or 5 in a row. They've been actually going all right.
The Lakers a couple of days ago.
Yep, had a nice win there yesterday in the tournament. I'm just trying to bring up some stats here. But before I do that, we've got to talk about the Bucks as well, who haven't been playing lights out. Now, Dame did go down with a bit of a calf injury. It seems like it's niggly more so than serious.
That's good to
hear. Probably the biggest off-season news. May take a little while for him to gel there with Giannis. Giannis also put up 50 points the other night, and they lost to the Pacers. Be interesting to see. It's looking very good. How are we going for internet? We're still working?
I think it's coming back now. It's hard to tell.
Down here in the dungeon. Let's move over to a bit of football chat before we get into our final round. Big Ange Postecoglou has been the talking point for any Australian that's remotely into football or soccer. Started out world on fire, and in the last 2 weeks, albeit slightly or very unlucky, they've dropped 2 games. Spurs, they sit in third as it currently stands. I don't know if you saw any of the highlights of the loss to Wolves overnight. They were up 1-0 early. Two stoppage time goals, and their goal from, I think his name Pablo Sarriba, elite. He took the touch. First touch, set it up for himself, left foot volley, bang. Yeah. That was to equalise. Yeah. And then 97th minute, heartbreaker. Spurs lose. They also lost James Maddison and Mickey van der Ven in the Chelsea loss, which they also had a couple of red cards. So certainly maybe Spurs fans coming back to earth a little bit. Aussie soccer fans, that are jumping on the Ange bandwagon, realising, it's a fucking long season.
Yeah, I think, they've probably come out with their game plan, their style of play. They've won a lot of games with that, but I think teams are probably starting to adjust to the way they play and what to expect going up against the Spurs, and they've been able to find wins lately. So I don't think they're going to win the league this year, kind of thing. But I think they're still going to be competitive.
I think Champions League's a real.
I think that's the goal for them.
They should be playing Champions League,
and not slide too far. Because you still you got the likes of, say, Man United there sitting in 6th that would like to push up, but
they've actually sort of turned a bit of a corner, United, other than losing to fucking Copenhagen. The Champions League's been horrendous for them, but they just crawled across the line against Luton last night. They'd lost 2 of their last 3 at home. City, fair enough, but losing to lost to Palace and Brighton last month at home. It's worrying signs there for Ten Hag and United. The Copenhagen loss was funny because Christian Eriksen and Rasmus Højlund, 2 of the best Danish players in the world, are playing for United. They go over and play a Danish team who's all the Danish superstars play outside of Denmark, and they lose to them. Go figure. So United sniffing, Newcastle will be sniffing. Aston Villa, the villains, they've started off white hot. Seems like it'll be a City Arsenal race again this year. Big City game tonight against Chelsea. We'll see how good they are, but they've had chinks in the armour actually this year, Man City. So possibly won't shoe it in this year.
Yeah, and I think a good competition with them and Arsenal will be good. Maybe Liverpool can jump into that fight, and whether the Spurs can keep touch. I think that's going to be the season.
It's pretty incredible for Harry Kane to leave and them to have started as well as they have under a rookie manager coaching his first EPL EPL outfit
in a major league.
I think he's won the hearts and minds of the fans. That's for sure. And like I said, a lot of sort of casual Aussie soccer fans, getting in there and cheering on Big Ange and Tottenham.
Yeah, agree.
VAR's been a bit stinky.
I think that's kind of been it's been a bit of a story, but I think it's been a huge beat up more by the managers, like the head coaches being, getting stuck into the with the way it's been implemented and the way it's being used, and mainly because the VAR is probably doing its job and they're going against what the results they want, but it's maybe not in a timely fashion, and maybe it's against run of play, etc. But there's been a bit of hype from that group specifically about how VR is impacting the game and what it's doing. But whether, who cares? It's replay. As long as they're getting it right. Maybe they could be. There's a efficiency thing that maybe can come.
I think it's muddied the waters. It's certainly watching the Women's World Cup. I was like, geez, some of this is a bit how you're going, and the whole letting stuff go for 2 minutes and then you can check it back. Opens up a few holes.
Yeah, did it cross the line down here? Oh no, we'll let it play. Oh, they score at the other end. Wait,
we'll take that one back.
We'll have to go check it. Yeah.
So it's definitely made things a little bit muddier than clearer.
Do they need the coaches challenge? Throwing flags from
the manager.
It was like, I wanted that check straight away. Who knows?
Big Angie's out there, throwing a Musaka out there.
Yeah. Before we check the Champions League, the Chelsea kind of middle of the pack. I think that's kind of where they are at the moment, unfortunately for Chelsea fans. And what have we got down the bottom there?
Sheffield, Burnley, Luton have all been pretty ordinary. Everton's strung together a few wins, so they had started like they finished last season. They're sort of middle of the table.
With Not Forest right next to them. So
good
old Not Forest.
We'll keep an eye on the Toffees. It was pretty much all of last season. We thought, they're going to fuck their, however many years. It would end up being close to 80 years in the top flight. They've definitely got things together the last few weeks. Champions League, the big guns seem to be the teams to beat. Bayern a 4 from 4, 12 points. Real a 4 from 4, 12 points. City a 4 from 4, 12 points. It's probably realistically 4 teams that could win the Champions League, I reckon. If you go Bayern, if you go Real, if you go
Inter.
They're
fun.
Inter are always fun. City,
Barca, of course.
But Barca you could never rule out. I think the big 3 in the Champions League haven't dropped. in City, Real, and Bayern. I'd kind of be pretty surprised if it was anyone outside of those three. Yeah, I agree. Maybe FC Copenhagen. Go out there and beat United. And just a little shout out. I was going to do him for shout out beer, but Meg Lanning just eclipsed him. Nestori Irinkunda, I hope I said that name correctly. He's a 17-year-old from Adelaide United, and he's just put pen to paper to join Bayern Munich. 5 million seems like he'll get. Yeah. Not a bad little payday for a 17-year-old.
Did you see the headlines here in Australia, though?
Bits and pieces.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of it's like, we lose him to Australian soccer.
Oh, I did see that, yeah. Lose him. Lose him to Bayern Munich, you fucking peanuts.
This is like, why waste him playing in Australia? Like... Yes, it'd be fun to have a local dude playing in the local league and hope build the local league.
Yeah, you come back here and play when you're 39, son, for you.
Exactly.
Testimonial.
Don't ruin his career.
I did see that headline, actually.
Go play.
Did grind my gears a little.
Go play in Europe. Get really good. Help Australia win a World Cup. That's what maybe not in the next 100 years, but that's the idea. Get really good. Try to build that skill into Australian football. So yes, we can be competitive on the world stage more so than we are now. That's what I think. You need to go play the best to be the best.
Yep.
Play with the best, learn from those guys to then, hopefully then bring that back and filter that in through everyone else. So all to him, man.
And he's a 17-year-old.
The Sydney media.
That's right. 17-year-old. There's no guarantees that he actually plays first 11 stuff for Bayern, but
he's in the system.
Exactly, he's in the system at one of the best clubs in the world. Yep. I was watching a little 8-minute highlight package of him. Very fast and very silky with his touch. A lot of the highlights were him just skinning defenders and then throwing the leg out and him winning a free kick. So could definitely cause a few headaches over there playing for I imagine, Bayern's second team as he comes through his teen years.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, well, you never know. He might get a loan somewhere. Like
they might.
But the thing is, the potential is there for everywhere. For soccer, you need to be in Europe. Like, not in Australia. If you want to build your career,
we lost
him. Yeah, he's lost to us. He's dead to us. No.
Adelaide United would be cheering on young Nestori. It's also 100%. It's a cool story as well. I was reading a little bit about him. Not of Sudanese background. He's from Burundi, I think. Okay. Small African country. Refugee, as we're seeing a fair few soccer players now coming through our Aussie soccer systems here, and then going over to Europe, has just absolutely lit it up as a teenager, and wish him all the best moving forward.
Exactly. Good luck to him.
All right, let's do a final round. UFC 295 occurred today at Madison Square Garden. We have a new light heavyweight champion.
New interim heavyweight champion as well.
Should we talk about that first and then go back to injuries?
I think that's just a quick note. Like, there's been a lot happening in the UFC since we've been away. There's been, I guess, a lot of injuries. A big one for this card was John Jones was out, so the Stipe fight was off. That's why we get the interim heavyweight championship. We had, of course, Oliveira get injured a couple of weeks ago.
Cut his eye. Yeah, Falk steps in.
Islam then wins that fight. We had Paulo Costa get injured as well. And then Hamzat, who did he fight in the end? Someone else on short notice, but Hamzat won. So there's been a little bit of injuries. The UFC's been moving. It's rolling along. We're getting closer to UFC 300. We'll talk about that in a minute. But UFC 295 happened to... Oh, it was Usman. There you go. Yeah. Fought Usman at middleweight. So, it's a lot's been happening in the UFC. A lot of big names been fighting. But let's talk about UFC 295 and start with light heavyweight. And we have new champion in Alex Pereira.
And the Powhatan. I actually didn't see... This is the first pay-per-view I think I've missed in a while. A few kids' birthday parties. It seems to be the run of the weekends of late. But you did see the highlights. You want to run us through what you saw?
I did watch this. Very good fight. Pereira with his lower leg calf kicks were very effective and really getting to Petrarca.
You love saying Petrarca. It's
Prohaska. Yeah, Prohaska. Yuri.
He doesn't play on the ball for the Melbourne Demons.
No, yeah. But it was a competitive fight going into the second round. I think that Yuri landed really well. I think he had his chances. It was kind of a bit of a back and forth fight. We staggered Pereira once or twice. Like, it was okay, but then, Pereira just with that power, counter right left, knocked him down. Yuri gets him around the legs, and then Pereira hits him with elbows on the head. And I guess Yuri falls down and he jumps on top of him, and that's when the ref jumps in. So there were some questions about whether it was slightly an early stoppage. Uri afterwards was like, I think it was okay. I was out at that point. And I think
He just said his first name 3 different times.
Sorry.
Ways as well.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember the fight and the dude's name.
Continue.
But I think the main thing, because Goddard was a ref and, he's been getting some hate of late, of course, about early stoppages. But he airs on caution for the fighters. I think Pereira already hit him with some bombs. He was in trouble. And from the angle I see from where Goddard was, you could see his arms, like his hand, because he's got like his arms around his legs, and you can kind of see them fall away, like whether he slid down to his knees, but they kind of look like they fall away, like he's out and he's falling backwards on his back. Pereira was going to land on top of him in the mount and was going to beat the shit out of him. So it was probably, maybe it was slightly earlier, but maybe he saves him for 2 or 3 more shots and he calls it anyway.
Stitches,
so I think it was probably an okay stoppage. From what I saw from the angle that Goddard was looking at, I can see why he also stopped this fight.
Yep.
But Pereira does what Israel couldn't. Beat Blachowicz.
Yep, that's pretty good.
And then goes up and wins the light heavyweight belt, which Israel couldn't do. And then, interestingly enough, calls him out post-fight. With a bit of it was a bit hard because it was translated to get exactly the meaning. But I think he was talking about, when I was in kickboxing, you said that I would be, just at a bar drinking. I'd never amount to anything. That really drove me. You really pushed me, and that's how I came back, and defeated you all those times. I don't want to see you out of the game until 2027. I want to be that for you kind of thing. Come back. Let's fight for the light heavyweight belt. Like, come back and fight for this belt. And then, of course, finished off with, hey, Adesanya, come to daddy.
Did he call him Adam Sandler or?
No, Adesanya. I just can't speak at the moment. I've obviously cupped a few left hooks from Pereira, so it's affected my speech. But called out Izzy and said, come to daddy. So,
but that's all in Portuguese through the translator.
Through the translator, yes. So, so it'll be, I think Izzy's already been on social saying, using a Frozen meme, was like, let it go, and showing Pereira asleep after knocked him out.
I did say that.
But having said that, Pereira has also completed everything that Israel wanted to do. He's like, hey, I completed your dream. I'm the 9th double champion, first to win the middleweight and light heavyweight belts. No one else has done that before. So, pretty impressive. And also, like, Hill's not really a fun fight. Like, yes, he'll get Hill next. But, if UFC wants to do UFC 300 with Israel versus Pereira for the light heavyweight, that sells, and UFC 300 is the big talking point coming up. So, and it fits perfectly time-wise for them to book that fight and have a full training camp. So.
But if I'm Israel and I've just lost the middleweight belt to Sean Strickland, what right have I got to go up to light heavyweight and get a title fight?
Well, that's the point. Who the fuck cares? Like, I think it's like, what's going to sell the most?
Yeah.
And them fighting each other is the big sell.
Yeah.
Like, it's their history with their back and forth is so impressive. So,
wonder if they'd make a catch weight.
Well,
but then how do you do it for a belt?
Yeah, but Israel's already come up to 205 already. Like, he fought.
Blachowicz.
And lost, of course. It's a significant more weight for Israel than it is for Pereira. Pereira cuts fuckloads more to get down to that.
But with his height, there's no reason why his frame can't take it.
Yes,
just have to do it the John Jones way of
possibly just taking more time.
15, 18 months out maybe.
But the fun side of that is you take Israel out of middleweight and then focus on building its new storylines of guys that are there and that can fight. Like, you now got Hamzat's back and maybe Usman stays in that division, and then there's a whole bunch of fun fights they could have there. Whitaker's been calling out Usman. Like, I think that's a fun fight. I'd like to see that.
Yep.
Something different than what we've had with back and forth with Izzy there. So
just him cleaning it out.
Yeah, take Izzy. Maybe has a light heavyweight fight with Pereira for, again, that they continue with that storyline. I think would be quite interesting. So.
Middleweight currently has Strickland as the champ. Adesanya 1. Duplessis, who probably needs to have a title fight.
I can't remember if they've booked that or not, but they did announce a whole bunch of fights recently. But yeah, that's the fight for the championship to make. Then
perennial bridesmaid in Whitaker, Cannonier, Vittori, Costa, Hamzat is 8th in that.
Yeah, whether they run back that Costa fight, because if you don't want to go see the pictures of that staph infection, it was bad, so it was a good thing they could include him. Elbow, there's a big open wound essentially. So, there's no way he was ever going to make that fight. But there's some fun options there. Some new matchups you could do. Throw Usman into that mix too. The top of that kind of division. I think that's pretty fun.
How long's Hill out for, by the way? Do we know?
What did he do? Achilles?
Yeah.
I think it was Achilles.
Was it Achilles?
I feel like that was the start of this year. Yeah. I don't think he's too far away.
It was Achilles. Good memory.
It was July.
Yeah, so that's 9 months, you'd think.
Yeah. So
unless he's on the Rogers shit.
Yeah, back next year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Aspinall and
Pavlovich. Sergey.
There's a lot of hard European names, isn't there?
Yeah. And
how'd this one go?
As you expect in the light heavyweight division, flip a coin and see what happens. Sergey, I think, landed early on Aspen, kind of showed his power, really showed Tom like what he could do. But just credit to Aspen, like he's a big dude, but he's a elite speed. Basically hit him, I think, with an overhand left that started it, wobbled him, threw a couple more, and that's all she wrote. So pretty standard stuff for the heavyweight division. Gets the KO TKO victory in that, and it's the interim champ. And of course, they got 2 week notice for this fight.
Yeah, yep.
So they both took it on 2 weeks notice. By all counts, Aspen injured his back in his first training session and didn't train for the last week and a half. So he comes into this. Bisman was there, his hype man, essentially, geeing him up. It was 2 versus 4, Sergey being 2 and Aspen being 4.
And Pavlovich was coming off 6 first-round knockouts,
Yes,
including the likes of Curtis Blades, Shui Vasa, Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
Fucking killer.
Oh, yeah, he's got some immense power. Showed it in this one, but credit to Tom to standing through it and getting the win early in the first round. And it makes it interesting for the heavyweight division because by all accounts, it's going to be Stipe Jones. Again, probably at UFC 300 at this point for another big sell. But, to an Aspen-John Jones fight would be pretty interesting, I think, whether John Jones wants to hang around for that long, because by all reports, they were going to fight at this and have a double retirement essentially and vacate the belt, and then this would have been the championship anyway. So, that's what I think UFC was getting prepared for. Whether that happens in the new year now, or whether Jones wants to hang around, maybe there's definitely some fun fights at the heavyweight division for him. But it also is, you're going into a whole bunch of wars, bazooka, get some bazooka stuff out, you hang around from that. And then, there's also been the chat about, do you try to hook something up with Francis and Jones after what Francis did to Tyson Fury during our break?
Yeah, we'll need to talk about that briefly.
Yeah. Well, we held his own, knocked down Fury.
A lot of people saying possibly won the fight.
Probably won. Well, based on what I thought from the rounds that I saw and from the cards, I think, probably should have been a draw, if not him winning.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah, and the only way, because the knockdown gets him a 10-8, the only way that Fury wins is because the one judge gave him 96-93. And you're wondering, like, did he just do a boxing assault at that judge?
Maybe, yeah.
So that's just elevated his star. Dana's never going to do a co-promotional with PFL with Francis. So I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I think Francis is going to make more money doing boxing fights.
Good on him too. If anyone's listened to his story on Rogan about getting out of Cameroon and the horrors of it all and how many times I had to try. And it's a bit of a wake up call, I think, for the UFC. You got to pay your athletes because they can go out there and do this kind of shit. Mm-hmm. He's such an elite specimen. I'm trying to find. Do you know how much he made from the fight?
Oh, some are rumored like 20 mil, and that thing I think says there about 600K. But it could anything. There's a few mils in there. I think he made significant. He said he made more than he did his entire UFC
career.
So, and the interesting thing is, from my understanding, is it sold really poorly.
Oh, really?
Like it had like 70,000 pay-per-view buys, which was less than every UFC pay-per-view this year, and was under the Pauls and the KSI fights as well. So, it's not
under 70,000.
Yeah, so it's not a huge number, which is strange. I think most people just thought Fury's going to go out there and just show the class, but I think Fury maybe underestimated. Maybe undertrained a little bit, and Francis was always just going to go out there and swing for fences, and I think was happy to be there, and he really showed, it's a heavyweight division. He's got power. If you're going to hit with it, he's like, oh, yeah, big motherfuckers can really put some power on you. And the interesting thing that's really impacted now the Fury Usyk unification fight, because Fury was going to say we'll do that in December, and now he's just like, oh, we'll do that in the new year.
I need a bit of training.
I need to reevaluate things from where I'm at.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Hats off to Francis,
definitely,
and possibly robbed. Anything tickle your fancy from the rest of that main card?
Andrade versus Dern was a good fight.
Andrade knocked her out.
Yeah. Mackenzie couldn't really get into her jiu-jitsu, into her wrestling, get her down, and really just ended up, bringing a knife to a gunfight. And Andrade just had way more power for her. Every time she landed, it was really, really scaring her. So that's a big win for her, kind of riding the ship a little bit for Andrade. She had been
She's coming off a few losses, hasn't she?
Yeah, had been on a bit of a losing streak.
3 losses.
So that keeps her current in that division. And then I think Diego, it's not Lopez, but it's Lopes, I think was the other one. For in the featherweight, got a KO in this one too, which was very, very nice. Oh, and I guess the Frenchman in the lightweight division with a head kick knockout was also excellent. It was a knockouts, finishes on all the main cards. It was an excellent card. UFC 295 was beautiful.
Benoit Saint Denis.
Yeah. I think he was. Can't remember if he's special forces, but he fought it. He was in the military for France.
Yep.
An up and comer in the lightweight division from France. Very interesting. He called out all the big names, but I think he's only just starting his ascendancy into the top 15. So we'll probably have to see a couple more. But
one to watch there.
Yeah, everyone was singing the praises of his opponent, and he went out and head kicked him on a separation. So
there we go.
You take that every day of the week.
Thank you for running us through that. UFC 300, have we got a date for it yet?
Well, they just announced 296 and 297 with full cards. I don't think we've got anything for 208. Yes, 300's going to be April-ish, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So there you go. 97, 98, and 99 confirmed for fights because he announced those all during the week.
So now all the speculation is who's going to fight at 300.
Yeah,
Conor McGregor.
Well, Conor's in the. Well, this is the thing. Conor's in the pool as of October. He needs 6 months. So that's why everyone thinks UFC 300 is going to be April. April makes sense for the timeline because he will then be eligible for a fight. Conor's been training. He's actually leaned down a fair bit. Looks like Conor's ready to go getting ready for a UFC 300 fight. There's the ones I talked about before. There's also been rumours about whether Brock Lesnar will come back because he fought at 100 and 200 and whether he wants to get
him on the undercard or something.
One of the early main card fights. Same with Ronda, whether they get those big draw cards.
I feel like Brock would be a lot older than Ronda.
Yeah, definitely. 46, but
Brock's
whether
46.
Yeah, and fighing well, you can stay around. But the problem is in the heavyweight division, as we talked about.
You could get killed.
Exactly. You're not going to put him in there against Sergey as an example. But it'd be, can they find a fun fight for him in that division that draws eyeballs? And I think there are going to be plenty of interesting ones.
Ronda's only 36, so in terms of an athletic sort of shelf life, she should be fine. But when is the last? She's been acting and shit. I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah. realistically, the 5Ks moved past both those guys, well, guys and girls. For a spectacle, whether they want to put something on and do something, yeah, maybe they do that. With that thinking, you could probably put Logan Paul on the undercard if you wanted, that draw card.
And the UFC doesn't need that, to be honest, the gimmicky kind of shit.
I think they just got an event, which will be quite interesting.
I think it's a good little segue too.
Bastian Vettel.
Another big event goes to Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Next week, the Grand Prix, the first ever Las Vegas. First since 1982. I didn't even know about that. Caesar's Palace Grand Prix. A little bit of Wikipedia reading for me later.
Yeah, but I was telling you pre-show that it's been a bit unfortunate. A lot of people paid big money for tickets, for accommodation, etc. Not for, I guess it's not a non-event. It's still the winning Grand Prix, winning a race is very important. But essentially, we're done. Title chase.
Have been for a month.
Yeah, exactly. Max has won it. Red Bull's dominated, and it's now just deciding, who gets the rest of the spoils. Which has probably been the interesting thing is, who's in second at the moment and racing for second. So for the teams, you got Mercedes currently in there with 382 points. Followed by Ferrari at 362, and they're ahead of McLaren and Aston Martin, who are now in the 280s and 260s. So you think probably those two are too far back, but you never know with the way Ferraris have been DNFing, McLaren's have been scoring well. Maybe they could steal third place. And same thing, like there's 2 races to go. There's a fair bit of points on offer if both drivers win. But I think it's probably... Mercedes and Ferrari fighting for second, McLaren and Aston fighting for, say, fourth place, with maybe Ferrari does some stupid shit that McLaren could sneak third, but would need McLaren, say, to finish 1-2 in both races to get close. So.
And what about from a driver's perspective? Is there, that Perez-Hamilton race for second kind of...
Yes. So, I think...
that 22 points.
Yeah, 32 points behind is Hamilton from...
32, my mistake.
So, yeah. Maybe my math is wrong.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
32 points behind Hamilton is of Perez. Perez has had a few retirements. Hamilton actually had a disqualification, which was quite interesting a couple of weeks ago.
Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, but it's... that's the competition for the last 2 races. Who can sneak into second... and whether Hamilton can finish second there, but you see that there. Max Verstappen's dominated this race from pillar to post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then outside of Singapore, had pretty much won everything since Azerbaijan. Yeah, I feel like the storyline's probably more around Perez and I guess Ricciardo. Ricciardo's been pretty good since being back from his injury, scoring points there for AlphaTauri, and a much less capable machine than what Perez is. Perez has, been struggling a little bit, been hitting, retirements and not finishing, say, second. They wanted to finish second every time. He hasn't really done it, which has then opened the door to Hamilton. If Hamilton overtakes him, then, Red Bull probably won't be happy that they, didn't do everything. They didn't finish 1-2. Well, that's probably the main thing. They didn't finish 1-2 in the drivers. They've won the constructions handily. But that's the storyline, really. Race for second. Yeah, race for second. It'd be interesting to see how this Las Vegas circuit goes. That was going to be my question, So it's around all the casinos. It's going to have all the... It has the whole strip. There's a big... They're going to be top speed on the rev limiter going down the strip, so that's going to be pretty cool to see them all flying down there. Be interested. Hopefully it's a competitive kind of overtakey race and not some of the races like Monaco where it ends up being a bit of a train fest. The track has been dubbed the Spider Pig. Spider Pig? Because the layout looks like this upside down Spider Pig. Well, the Spider Pig. From Simpsons. Pig. It looks like a pig upside down. So it's a pretty interesting circuit. It goes around all the main things. I think it goes around the sphere. Well, the sphere's on one side of it. So, it'll be pretty impressive. It's just unfortunate, the season's been sorted. The ticket sales haven't been that great. Be interested to see how that finishes. But I think it's at a pretty decent time. Yeah, you were saying like 4, 5... I think it's 5 p.m. our time. Globally, translate to the 6 a.m. in the... There, it has the rundown. Race is set to begin at
at 10
o'clock
p.m.
local time,
which is 1 a.m. New York. I'm surprised they're starting so late.
Yeah, but it's 6 a.m. In the UK, which is probably the big thing because that's where
they're trying to get the European
viewing.
So they're trying to get early for Europe.
Yeah.
So East Coast of Australia, 5 p.m.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good race time for us. So next Sunday for that race.
Yep.
For us to tune in and see how Las Vegas goes.
For casual, like I'm relatively, well, I am an F1 casual. I'm really kind of follow it because my mates are into it, and I'd like to see the Aussies going okay.
Yeah, and they've been doing Oscar and Ricardo doing pretty good. So
and for Aussies, this is peak.
Outside of the Australian Grand Prix, this is peak time. So it's not either super early in the morning and it's not 11 o'clock start. So
there's one thing, but you could run it into it. The Cricket World Cup final, but that starts at 7:30.
True.
So if you wanted to, get your couch time in, you could go a Vegas Grand Prix into hopefully Australia being there.
Yeah, well, I think
playing against New Zealand.
A race is usually under 2 hours unless there's anything significant. So I think
that's next Sunday sorted.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, you could probably get the whole race in and go straight into the Cricket World Cup. There you go, Australian fans.
And that's a good place to finish because we won't be on next week. I've got a wedding, but we might do two weeks' time.
Yep.
We'll have Cricket World Cup
results.
We'll have really sort of starting to get towards pointy end of NFL. We'll have EPL and NBA building, and wrapping up the end of the F1 and looking forward to UFC 296.
It would be 6 would be coming up, and then will F1 be done by then?
F1 will be done.
Abu Dhabi.
It'll be that night.
Yeah, it'll be leading into the last race at Abu Dhabi.
Yep. Thank you to those that have listened after a month off. We do appreciate it. We can see a couple in there in the live listeners. For anyone else that's listening throughout the week, hopefully you're having a good drive to work, good day on the tools, whatever you're doing. Thank you for listening and supporting the Esky. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yep. Goodbye.
Catch up.